Aita for telling my sister to shut the fuck up after she's been crying for weeks since her BF broke up with her because of her cheating. My sister 22F got dumped by her boyfriend of 2 years about 2 weeks ago. Normally I'd feel bad because she's my sister, but this time I really don't. She wasn't a good girlfriend to him at all. He worked, cooked, and kept their place together while she spent most of her time out with her friends. When she was home, she'd pick up a broom for like 2 minutes and act like she'd been cleaning all day, and she was also cheating with his childhood best friend, who's a girl. She would lie and say she was with friends, but she was actually sneaking around her boyfriend, only found out because the girl posted a picture of an inappropriate photo of them together that was meant to go in her drafts. My sister came home to find her bags packed by the door. She begged him to forgive her, but of course he didn't. After that, she came to my apartment and has been staying here, basically crying non-stop. I'd hear her sobbing in the middle of the night, sometimes at 2 or 3 a.m. What made it worse is that she doesn't take any responsibilities for what happened instead. She keeps saying stuff like it was her bi-awakening and that her boyfriend should have been supportive of her. Then one morning, she sat next to me while I was drinking tea and started crying again about how unfair life is. I just lost it. I yelled at her to shut the fuck up and told her she brought this on herself, that she clearly didn't love him if she cheated, and that I don't understand why she's even trying to win him back. She stormed off, called me an asshole, and hasn't talked to me in a week. Honestly, I don't really mind the silence, but now I'm wondering, Aita for snapping at her and not being there to comfort her? Comments. Commenter Tonu. When she started talking about stuff being not fair, she's got a bill she wants you to pay, or buy or something. You need to set a hard date of when she is out, or say hello to your new roommate. Reply after taking some time to read the comments. I am thinking about it. I know she's going to go to our mom's place. It wasn't her first option because my mom just bought a smaller house for her, my dad, and my younger sibling, and that means my sister won't have the best living situation, but am honestly done with her living off my hard work, so I'll give her a week notice to get her shit together, get a job, buy her own food and agree to split rent, or she's getting kicked out. Commenter 2. NTA. Enjoy the peace and quiet. On a side note, she has been staying with you for 2 weeks now. Does she pay rent? Does she do chores? Does she contribute in any way, shape, or form? If no, then kick her freeloading, cheating ass to the curb, unless she starts pulling her weight. Reply, nope. Never did anything around the house. While I do have the choice to kick her out, I find it hard to do so because we're normally really close, and I know I'll feel guilty if I do so. Commenter 3. NTA, she's a cheater. She can deal with it. He needs to make sure everyone knows why he dumped her. Cheating ass. I have zero remorse for cheaters, especially when they get dropped, like they shouldita. My wife is bi, and I would divorce her if she cheated IDC who she cheated on me with. That bi-awakening is an excuse. If she wanted to explore, she should LF spoken with him, and they could have done that, or split up. Commenter 4, NTA. She sounds like a terrible partner. And roommate, how long is she planning on staying with you? Yeah, you could have been patient, but I for one would have lost my cool over constant sobbing, with no remorse on her part too. Reply, I don't know yet, probably when she comes to her senses and starts looking for a job to get her own place. Update. Aita for telling my sister to shut the fuck up after she's been crying for weeks since her BF broke up with her because of her cheating. So I took everyone's advice and went to talk to my sister in her room. It was really messy in there, and as soon as I walked in, she gave me this glare. I told her I needed to talk and laid it out straight. She needs to get a job, split rent, buy her own food, and actually respect me if she wants to keep staying here. Otherwise, she's out. She definitely did not expect me to say that. She started going on about how I can't do this to her, that she's still trying to heal from her breakup, that she can't live with mom and dad, and that there's no way she's paying to stay at my place. I told her fine, then consider herself evicted, and that she needed to have her stuff packed and be gone first thing in the morning. She kept yelling, but I just ignored her and went back to my room. I don't know if she's packing right now, but I already called my parents and told them to expect her tomorrow. My mom actually understood where I was coming from, and said my dad will be here in the morning to help update, 2 will be here in this same post after she hopefully moves out. Thanks to everyone who gave me advice. Because I don't think I would have made this decision on my own, but I'm glad I did update 2. Good news. She's gone. Of course, she didn't leave without causing destruction first. I woke up this morning and saw all her clothes thrown on the floor in her room instead of in her suitcase. She told me there was no way she was leaving and that I can't do this to her. But halfway through her little speech, my dad showed up. The second he walked in and saw the mess and her bratty attitude, my sister basically knew she was done. She couldn't fight it. For context, the only person who can actually scare my sister is my dad. She finally started packing, but not before muttering, "Fuck you," under her breath at me. When she finished and was about to leave, my dad was already outside by the car. That's when she turned to me and said, "Never talk to me again," and then she grabbed my late grandmother's special vase and smashed it on the floor. That vase meant a lot to me. I do have a few of my grandmother's things left, but that one was especially important. I told her to get the fuck out, that she isn't welcome here anymore, and that I expect her to pay for the vase. She just stormed off, and now I'm back here cleaning the mess she left behind. I don't know if I'll be updating this again, but if I do, it'll probably be after I hear from my mom about how things are going over there. Once my sister calms down, I might even show her this post so she can finally take some accountability for everything she's done. Also, a lot of people asked what happened with the other girl. I actually saw her at a cafe a few days ago with someone else. They looked pretty romantic, so I guess things didn't work out between her and my sister, honestly. Serves her right. Update 3. I think this is going to be my last update. I brought the vase pieces to my aunt since she specializes in this kind of stuff, and she said she'll have it ready for me the next day. I haven't heard from my sister, thank God, but my mom texted me saying that my sister has been quiet the whole day and only came out of her small room to eat a snack. Then she locked herself up again. But she has been clean and hasn't disturbed anyone the whole day. At least not yet. I appreciate all the advice that others had given me, and am glad that she isn't bothering me anymore. Thank you again to everybody that has commented under both my posts, and I wish you all well. Comments. Commenter 1. Why is she so upset? She was cheating on the guy. It's not like she liked him that much. Commenter 2. Yeah, she's giving herself an excuse to just wallow. You're probably helping her by expecting her to be an adult. Hope your parents do the same, for her own good. Commenter 3. Your sister is upset that there are consequences to her actions. She doesn't feel remorse for cheating. She's upset that she got dumped because she felt her ex should just tolerate it. And she's upset that being dumped means she's now homeless. She's upset you haven't been coddling her, because it is, again, more consequences. She's upset she has to leave because it's more consequences. She doesn't feel bad. She's just upset that her actions are having negative consequences for her. If her ex had stayed with her, or if she could go be with the best friend who I suspect has also ditched her, she'd be happy as a clam. She's boo-hooing because she wants to play victim, and she isn't. Commenter 4. I'm glad it went this way, and you're getting her out of your space, even though it must have been a difficult decision for you. The disdain she had for her multiple options that would leave her very much not homeless were quite entitled. Your sister should hopefully be okay when she gets her head out of her butt someday. Just a suggestion. When dealing with crazy family members, lock down your credit. It isn't already easy to do. And sadly, so many people find out later that those they have trusted end up with sticky fingers when told, "No, the gravy train has stopped." Added measure of precaution for your peace of mind, you know? Wishing the best in this difficult situation. Stories number 2. I don't think my boss knows that. I know there's a camera in my office. I don't know where to start because I'm not even sure if this is weird or not. I started at this new job not long ago, and since the first day I've known there was a camera in my office. I don't think it's necessarily weird to have cameras in an office setting. There's cameras in all sorts of places for all kinds of reasons, but the camera in my office isn't any sort of built-in fixture, and my individual office room is the only office with a camera in it. On my first day of the job, I realized my boss was too aware of my actions. He said something to me that threw me off, and I knew he wouldn't have brought it up unless he had been watching me do something. It was just too coincidental, but it was casual at the same time, so it wasn't a direct allusion to the camera he has. But immediately after that incident, I scanned around the room, and I found a camera nestled into a cubby with a small wire that leads into his adjacent office. My other boss has also indirectly responded to my actions in the group chat. The few times I had spent an excessive amount of time on my phone were times that the, "Hey guys, let me know if you guys need anything to work on. I know things are slow." Mesa ages would trickle in. Anything that seemed to hint at me being watched was also said or done ambiguously enough that they weren't revealing anything about being able to see me, as if I'm not supposed to know I'm being watched. And that's what is unsettling to me. The camera is pointed directly at me, not the door, not the front of my desk, not anywhere else that would make sense for security. I've looked at everyone else's offices and didn't see a single camera. The camera is pointed specifically at me. And I don't even deal with money, or anything that could be stolen. I don't know if I should bring this up. I'm not entirely mad, and I guess I understand the reasoning, like making sure I'm on task or some shit. It just bothers me a little that I can be watched whenever, and they never even disclosed that I feel like someone being constantly monitored has the right to know that they are, especially since I'm the only one being watched like this. I at least use it to my advantage, because I at least know not to be on my phone. Lol relevant comments. Commenter 1. Anytime you are finished with a task and waiting for another one, spend excessive amounts of time staring into the camera. Commenter 2. Yes, yes, and don't blink at all. Just stare vacantly directly into the camera. Commenter 3. Is this your office? Place a nice plant, object in the way of the camera to decorate. If the decoration is moved, ask why. Commenter 4. Secretly filming people is illegal in a lot of countries. Commenter 5. Talk to a lawyer, only they can really represent your interests, not HR or your shady boss. Commenter 6. Not to be weird OP, but I did look at your post history because I needed more context on your age and gender, as I think it does matter in this situation. Seeing that you're a 22F confirmed my suspicions that your boss may be a creep. You mentioned that at least one of your bosses is male, which makes me wonder what his intentions are. I'm also not sure how deep of a search you did of your office, but I would implore you to look under your desk, chair, and anywhere in the surrounding area where you typically sit. Nowadays, cameras are easily available online that can be as small as a button, or be disguised as something benign like a smoke detector. It is possible you are the only one being spied on, but it is also possible that your employer has hidden cameras elsewhere, in your workplace, such as bathrooms or break rooms. You also did not mention what state you are from, but I am pretty sure any lawyer in any state could make a case for a young woman that was being filmed without her consent by her male employers. No matter which way you spin it, it looks very bad on their end, and I can't really think of any non-nefarious reason why they would need to record you. I know you are not asking for advice, but I would confront them directly or gather evidence to turn into the police and quit. No job is worth your privacy. Commenter 7. Why are they so passive? Aggressive? How much time do they waste jerking off to whatever you're doing? This type of stuff is usually someone just stroking their ego, flexing their power. Weirdos, update. I wasn't expecting so many responses. I genuinely appreciate how concerned everyone is about whether or not I'm okay. It makes me feel good knowing a lot of people care about a stranger's well-being. I've seen a lot of comments asking for an update. So this is really the most I have of one. Nothing has changed, yet I haven't brought it up to them, because part of me is wondering if they'll eventually remove it. I was curious to see if they would ever bring it up themselves, or if I could find a way to hint at the fact that I know I sorta want them to stay unaware that I know, so I can see how they act in response to my actions, to potentially call it out in the future. The top comment is pretty funny about staring into the camera. There were a few times where something ridiculous would happen with something, and I'd stare into the camera for a moment as if I was breaking the fourth wall. LMAO, I don't think I'm going to bring it up just yet. I actually really like working here. I get along with my co-workers, and they pay me decently for what I do. For everyone asking, yes, I'm a woman. I don't think this is as much of a sexual harassment case as it is just a micromanaging thing. They haven't done or said anything to me to make me feel like they were hitting on me. Just genuine politeness. My guess for the camera is that they're maybe testing my integrity. and seeing how much time I spend on my phone even out of the view of other people, which I could understand, but wow, I wish there was another way besides a camera on me. There's been a few other micromanaged things to happen that have irked me a little, but I still like my bosses in spite of that. If something changes, like if I start getting the vibe that this is becoming creepy, I'll keep you guys updated, Oj. And also a few things I wanted to mention that a lot of people had ideas about. You guys had good ideas. BTW. Due to where it's at, it would be really hard to cover the camera with anything. I can't exactly reach it. So I'd have to find something like maybe a wide shelf that would block view from underneath it. The wire runs into my boss's office. You can't see the wire from mine, so I'd have to take a pic of it from inside his office. So IDK if I'm able to evidence collect too easily. I'm also trying to be a bit vague with details because I got a little paranoid about the idea of my boss somehow coming across this thread. Anyways, I appreciate you guys, and I'm sorry I don't have a more thrilling update. I'll let you know if anything changes. Update. I don't think my boss knows that I know there's a camera in my office, so, as previously stated, I still never said anything about the camera. I wasn't really comfortable with it, but I got used to being conscious of my actions so they weren't seeing anything I didn't want them to. There also isn't some sort of HR to talk to about this or anything like that, but our IT guy came in and he asked my boss about it. I wasn't in the room, so I didn't hear entire conversation. But the first thing I heard was my boss saying that the camera was there before my office ever was. Something about using it to see the front door originally. I guess that was a weird excuse to me, though, because I've been there for at least 2 months at this point, and there's no way they could have accidentally watched me as much as it felt like they had been hearing the conversation out loud also, confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was a camera, and that I wasn't paranoid. The IT guy must have felt some type of way about it, because I didn't hear what he said, but I heard my boss say something about, well, it's not like I was just watching her in her office, in sorta a quieter, sheepishly defensive way. Nobody said anything to me while they were removing it. They took it from his side, not mine, but they instead put it where it would be facing the front door. This happened just over a week ago. I haven't posted an update until now because I was waiting to see if the camera would be put back. I really wanted to see if they were going to put it back a few days after IT left, because that would have been wild. But it's been over a week now. The camera is still away from me. It'll take some time before I stop feeling like I'm being watched all the time. Though, I'm really curious what the guy said to my boss, whether he said something about it not being allowed, or if he called it flat out creepy, haha. But I'm glad he did say something, as it got resolved without me ever having to say anything. I'd like to think he low-key had my back. I've still just been acting as if I've never known, and haven't said anything about it. And work carries on. I made this post mostly to vent, because I couldn't tell if I had the right to feel so weird about this situation because everyone in my personal circle says it isn't that weird. So it's so nice that so many strangers are validating how I feel. To hear people talk about my experience on a public platform was a little surreal. I won't lie. This got so much more traction than I was ever expecting, but it makes me feel better. So thank you, genuinely. My experience feels validated, and it feels heard, and I feel better because of it. I'm still going to stay at this job, because I still like everyone here and I enjoy my field, but now I'll be doing it under a little less surveillance. Lol, if the camera comes back, I'll let you know. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I just found this post and a similar thing happened to me. My boss was definitely sexually harassing me though, watching only me on a camera in my office, having people watch it and report back to him if he was out of the office, and the guy would come up behind me at my desk just to smell my hair. When I knew I had a new job secured, I took a picture of the area the camera was in on one of my last days, and my office mate who would watch me when he couldn't was an absolute nervous wreck. That day I still think about writing a letter to HR about that creep. I'm sure he's going to do it to other women given the chance. Too bad he's friends with HR. Reply. Jesus Christ. That's awful, dude. I'm sorry you got harassed. I'm really lucky my situation wasn't as bad. I'm glad you don't work there anymore. I hope karma catches up to that sleazy dude. Commenter 2. OP. I am so glad the IT guy called it out and moved it. That said, I am very concerned that people in your personal circle thought this wasn't that weird. It's weird. And super creepy. if there was cameras monitoring the entire office. That's one thing. But this one was specifically towards you. I want to reassure you that that is not normal at all, and you had every right to feel creeped out, commenter. 3. The real question is, if the camera was used to see the front door, why was it connected to his PC? Wouldn't you want something like that connected to a separate PC to record and back up the footage for security purposes? Also, are there security cameras inside or outside this business? If so, then that's super suspicious. Reply. The idea behind having the camera facing the door is that they know whether the people walking in are clients or just the mailman, another co-worker. It's to avoid having to get up out of the office to check who's in the front because there's no front desk. Technically, the weird thing to me, though, is that his office is actually the only office that you can see the front door from, so it doesn't make any sense for him to have one facing it. Stories number 3. My M25 GFF23 got upset that an ex sent me inappropriate pics. What does this mean for our relationship? My girlfriend and I have been dating for 3 years. I've been thinking about proposing soon. Things are good until this week. Okay, Monday. My ex Lindsay randomly sent me a message saying she missed me. I replied and said it was nice to hear from her, but that I won't be talking with her. She then started to send some inappropriate pics of herself. I messaged that I would be blocking her, and to not contact me again. This all happened Monday night, and my girlfriend was already asleep. I worked early and didn't get a chance to tell her what happened. Around lunchtime on Tuesday, my girlfriend calls me screaming that I'm cheating on her with Lindsay. Apparently Lindsay contacted her and told her that we've been cheating online with each other. She had screenshots of her sending pics through DM on Insta, which I never use, but have an old account. Obviously, there were no replies from me, but Lindsay claims it was meant to be that way, so I could deny. She called my girlfriend crying and saying she was sorry, which is all an act. When I got home, I showed me girlfriend everything. Showed her the texts, went through all my social medias, and it wasn't enough. She still believes that there may be something going on. She left to stay with a friend and told me she needs time to think. I freaked out and said if she doesn't believe me to not come back. What can I do here? I feel like I'm going crazy. Update. Last night I sent a message to my girlfriend and let her know I was sorry for how I reacted and that I loved her. Still haven't heard anything. Feeling pretty lonely and down this morning, but have some hope. Send sunrise pics, and I'd love to have people to chat with. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Consider this. If the roles were reversed, would you be comfortable with her ex sending her pictures and her responding, and not blocking him right away, or waking you up and telling you? Then the ex sends you pictures of their conversation. Your reaction, specifically telling her not to come back if she doesn't believe you, only reinforces her concerns and ultimately jeopardizes your relationship. Trust has been broken, and moving forward will be challenging if she can't trust you. Edit. To add additional details to my comment, for my response to be clear, reply. 4. The first part I did block after she sent the pics, but yeah, after reading comments here I'm really worried I messed things up with my response. Commenter 2. This is stupid. Commenters are being stupid too. Hey, glad you're doing well. I'm in relationship and won't be talking back. Was appropriate. End of story. Nothing to see here. Your girl has questions. Hand her your phone, give her the passcode. If that isn't good enough for her, then something else is going on. Did you cheat in the past? Because either your girlfriend is too jealous to be in relationship, or you're leaving something out of the scenario. If neither of those are true, then your response was appropriate. Unfortunately, your relationship is cooked. Only the blame is on your girlfriend and your ex. Your failure to totally block your ex is the only thing you did wrong. Reply. I've never cheated. But her sister was recently cheated on. That's probably on her mind as she's processing this. Commenter 3. Sorry, OP. But this is why when you have a breakup you hard block your ex on everything. You told your current GF of 3 years not to come back if she doesn't believe you. Your relationship is cooked. You didn't cheat, but saying that was the nail in the coffin. It's over because you handled it wrong. Reply. Yeah, I was just so frustrated at having to convince her nothing was going on. Commenter 4. I'm not buying this. And even if what you're saying is true, you still need to take accountability. You should have told her when it happened. It doesn't matter if she's asleep. Wake her up for 20 minutes to talk and show her what's going on. And there's definitely no excuse for you not telling her in the morning. How do you just forget that? She is obviously not gonna be very trusting to you. But if you really are innocent, take accountability for what you did and express what you should have done. Then it's a matter of seeing what she does. Also, who tells an ex? It's good to hear from them. Reply, I left for work before she woke up. But yes, now I wish I had woken. Her UPI said it was nice to hear from her, but that we can't talk. I was trying to be nice, but it didn't work out well for me. Update. My M25 GFF23 got upset that an ex sent me inappropriate pics. What does this mean for our relationship? FML, after waiting all night for a response from my girlfriend. She texted and asked if she could call. I was at work and took a break, and gave her a call. I started to apologize for what I said, and she stopped me. She then confessed that last year she had gotten back on Tinder and had a couple online flings. They would exchange pics and even had some video calls. She said she stopped after about 3 months of doing that and hasn't done anything since. When my ex called her, she assumed that I was doing the same thing and freaked out. I'm at a loss for what to do. She said that she wants a 3-month break at least so that we can clear our heads. WTF, does she have clear? She is coming to get her stuff while I'm at work today. I told my boss I'm not feeling well and am taking the rest of the day off. Right now I'm in my car parked at a park, contemplating my life's decisions. I'm good BTW for those who sent Reddit cares after me. Not doing anything terrible. That's the update and probably all I'll post. On here I highly doubt we survive this break. I'd feel like an idiot going back to her at this point. Already downloaded Tinder but probably shouldn't go that path. I'm just a mess. Stories number 4. AIO for towing my roommate's boyfriend from my paid parking spot. I am 31F, and I share a 2-bedroom apartment with a 27F roommate. Our building has a few parking spaces that are reserved for tenants, which I pay an extra $180 a month for because I work late shifts and don't want to have to look for a place to park on the street at 1 a.m. When she moved in, I made it very clear that my parking space is mine, and that the lease contains a rule about towing unauthorized cars in paid-for-tenant spots, and she told me that she understood. A few weeks later, her boyfriend started borrowing my spot without permission. I left a note and sent her a text to inform her nicely the first time. The second time I found him while I was coming back from the store, and asked him nicely to not park in the spot because it's not his, and I pay for it, so I'd like to use it. He laughed and said it was just a few hours. I ended up parking on the street, and that caused me to get a $75 ticket. The third time was the worst. When I came home at midnight, his car was already parked in my parking spot. I drove around for half an hour before finally parking on the street, and once again ended up with a $75 ticket. I texted my roommate and asked her to make things right. She replied that she was sorry but didn't offer to pay me back. She assured that it wouldn't happen again last Thursday. It happened again. When I go there at 1 a.m. and saw his car, I just sat there with that awful feeling in my stomach. I took a picture of the plate and the reserved sign with my apartment number and called the tow company that was listed in the lobby. They came in 20 minutes, towed his car, so I parked mine and went up to my room and just went to sleep. About an hour later, my friend barges into my room in panic, says her boyfriend had went down and his car was gone. She yelled at me, saying that I should have called them first, asking to move the car and not having it towed. I said I had already called her many times, and she didn't want to help me. Instead, I got multiple parking tickets for this, and she told me I was doing too much and that it's not that big of a deal. Now he has to pay $275 to get his car back. The next day, she wanted me to cover the towing fee, and I told her I would be more than happy to split the difference if she covered my parking tickets first and the next month's parking fee, since I could not use the space. She says I am blackmailing her and I have went too far with the towing. Right now the atmosphere in our place is super awkward and tense. Maybe I could have tried calling one more time, but I paid for the spot and I wanted to use it. I have asked many times and she never cared to help me. Did I overreact by towing her car? Comments. Commenter. So you are the bad guy because you acted on your legal rights to tow a vehicle parked illegally after being told repeatedly to not park there? Nope, I'd have had the vehicle towed. Second time it happened after reaffirming with the roommate not to park there, and giving him the benefit of the doubt and a courtesy warning. If not then, I definitely had done it when the boyfriend laughed and dismissed me. You live there. You pay for your apartment and parking spot. He doesn't have any right to it. The only way they will ever stop and learn is to suffer from the consequences of their actions. I would refuse to pay the towing and take him to court for recovering the parking tickets and a prorated amount of the parking fee for all the times he's been there when he should not have been, and even try to suck out damages because of the danger they put you in for having to walk from street to your building at such a late hour. I'd also tell your roommate that he's no longer allowed to be there, as he puts you in danger and creates a hostile environment in your home, and also file an official complaint with the landlord against them both, as you have photos and texts and parking tickets proving your claim is valid. Commenter 2. I would have called the tow truck the second time when he was laughing about taking the space. You're nicer than I am, I would say to the roommate. Once clearly, I hope he learns from this to not take things that aren't his. As for you, I hope you consider that a man who disrespects others will disrespect you. Then stop talking about it. If they bring it up again, say, "We've said all there is to say on this matter." You might ask your apartment complex if there's a camera that can view your car, because this guy may try to damage it out of spite. Get a good and loud car alarm if you don't have one. And consider getting a new roommate, because this one doesn't understand right from wrong. Edit. I see that she moved in to your place. Check your local laws, but since she moved in, that means she can move out. Suggest that she find a space with more parking. You don't have to accommodate her. You get to choose. Commenter 3. Definitely not an asshole. They clearly do not respect you as they did this repeatedly after being confronted about it. Honestly, you were gracious. If I warned them and it happened again after, I would have already towed it. Truly do not feel bad about it, but I hope you've been documenting it each time and document any messages or interactions going forward. Never know if it will become a crazy roommate situation. Just be prepared if you need to provide info to your landlord to have them removed and a new roommate brought in. Commenter 4. Oh, I see. You want me to pay $180 for the parking spot for your boyfriend and $150 for my own parking and $275 for his tow fee. Is that what you are telling me right now? That I should pay over $600? So your boyfriend can come park here for free? Are you listening to yourself right now? You can't be serious. This must be a joke. There is only one person who should make the atmosphere tense, and that is you. You need to make this roommate have a healthy fear of angering you, not the other way around. Stories number 5. Aita for calling my friend selfish after she explained the reason she didn't come to my mom's funeral. IF28 lost my mom 3 months ago after she lost her battle to cancer. It's hit me very hard as I've always been extremely close to my mom, especially after I gave birth to my first child when I was 21. She was my main support system during my pregnancy as I was so young, and helped me maintain a semi-normal life as a young parent, as well as providing financial support when needed. Basically, my mother was an amazing woman who really did everything she could to support me and anyone else in her life. I have a friend, F26, who I have been friends with for most of my life, and she was also close to my mom. When my friend, who for the sake of the story we'll call L, needed somewhere to stay after fights with her mom, my mom was always the first to welcome her and did a lot to help, including being a referee between Elle and her mom, and helping them fix whatever issue was going on between them. Year ago, Elle gave birth to a little boy who I am the godmother of, and his first birthday was a week after my mom died. I didn't attend Elle's son's birthday party for obvious reasons, but I called Elle in the morning to wish the baby a happy birthday leading up to my mom's funeral, which was 2.5 weeks after Elle's son's birthday. I noticed I hadn't heard off of Elle, and she hadn't let me know if she was attending my mom's funeral. I tried calling her with no answer back, so I left it alone. Cut to nearly 2 months later, and I finally get hold of Elle and invite her over to my house for food. And so we can call when she came to the house. When I asked her about why I haven't heard from her, she explained to me how she's mad about how I didn't wish her son a happy birthday. She explained this was the reason she didn't call me back and why she didn't attend my mom's funeral when I reminded her about the phone call we had the morning of his birthday. She said she didn't remember the phone call, but I didn't put a post on social media for him. I asked if she was serious considering what I was going through, and she got defensive, saying I would be the same if the shoe was on the other foot. I called her selfish for not being considerate of the situation I was going through and reminded her of, I did wish the baby a happy birthday. She left my house abruptly and said I was out of line for calling her selfish. I haven't spoken to Elle since, but I have had messages from Elle's family and partner calling me horrible and saying I need to apologize. My family and friends are telling me I was in the right, but I'm not sure. So, Aita? Comments? Commenter? 1 NTA. Your non-friend loses this debate. You called and wished him a happy birthday, and she totally blew off the funeral. She owes you an apology. Commenter 2. NT, what a tone-deaf person she is. The boy is 1 freaking year old. He doesn't even understand the concept of birthdays. Yeah, I'd gladly forget about her and would erase her from my life. She showed she's not worth the hassle by being this obtuse and self-centered. F that and F her. Commenter 3 NTA, and your ex-friend Elle and her family are out of line. You had just lost your mom, one of the most important people in your life, and you remembered to call and wish your godchild a happy birthday. You're right, Elle is selfish. It sounds like your mom did a lot for her, and that in itself should have made her come to the funeral. Sounds like she could care less to be there for you and made it all about her. She showed her true colors. Commenter 4 NTA. And she's a total bitch. I can't believe her family are defending her. What has she told them? Reply. She's an only child and family are the type that are all in each other's business. It's not the first time her family have got involved in our issues over the years. We have been friend. Stories number 6. ATA for refusing to babysit my toddler sister unless I'm paid. Recently my mother 40F has been asking me 16F to babysit my sister 4F. I've been babysitting her whenever needed since she was born. No problem. But toddlers are a lot harder to look after. Emo. Sometimes my mom leaves her with me for the entire first half of the day to run errands. Lately it's been happening more frequently, and I'm starting to feel tired. Not to mention I have my own schoolwork to do today. Felt like the last straw. So I looked up the average salary of a babysitter and put a note on my bedroom door. Babysitter, $20 hour. When my mom saw it, she started going on and on, how she was just running errands, grocery shopping, etc., and said I was being a brat. I told her that I love playing with my sister, but watching over a fussy toddler is a chore, and a job people get paid for. I also reminded her about all my savings, around $800 that she took from me and now owes me. She then threatened she wouldn't do me favors anymore, like getting me a doctor's note when I feel overwhelmed with school. And no, I don't abuse this. At worst, I ask about twice a year when everything becomes too much. I pointed out that the price was reasonable for a babysitter, and she argued she doesn't charge me or my siblings. I have a brother too, 14M, when she cooks and cleans after us. She's Sam. BTWI calmly tried to explain to her that since she gave birth to my sister, she is her responsibility. And if she can't take care of her due to running errands daily, she'd usually have to hire a nanny. She said something like, "Oh, so you'd also charge me when I have to go to your brother's parent-teacher meeting?" I get that my brother is in a new school, and she wants to prioritize that she won't be going to mine because it's at the same time I'm not making a fuss about it. But I still think she has to pay me to babysit my sister because she'll be out for 2+ hours. She got pretty angry, told me to get out of the room, and I'm currently receiving silent treatment. My brother saw the note, licked it, and tried to stick it to my forehead, and I feel like I really might have overreacted about the situation. So Aita Reddit wanted to clarify. By babysitting, I meant 3 to 4 hours every day for the past 2 weeks. Also, my sister only turned 4 recently, so I'm used to calling her a toddler. I apologize if that was misleading. I also wanted to address the fact my mom was really out on errands. She has the "if you're gonna settle down, don't cheat" mentality, which I'm glad for, and I'm sure she is doing her best with the current situation my family is in. Even though it's still really sexist, my brother doesn't do any chores, and I'm always expected to be the mature one and help out. Commenter 1. Unlike many responders here, I think that it's okay for parents to tell their older children to help out and or to babysit with their younger siblings. What is not clear to me is if OP's mother is asking her exclusively, in which case mom's requests are sexist, or if mom is also telling her 14-year-old son to help. If it's both, then I see nothing wrong here. But if it's just the daughter who is being told to help, then it's sexism. OP also mentioned that her mom took $800 from her savings and doesn't seem to have made any effort to repay it. IMO. That is as serious an issue as being told to babysit the toddler because it would constitute theft. On that basis alone, I'm going with NTA commenter 2. No, it's absolutely not okay. As someone who was predified from the ages of 12 to 18, I missed out on so much, and it wasn't even my sibling. It was my niece. My sister partied, my mom worked, and I got stuck. Taking care of a baby that I didn't create, I missed birthday parties, school dances, football games, prom, couldn't go out on dates, had to give up volleyball, and was asked by my sister to skip my graduation so she could go to her boyfriend's house. But my mom thankfully drew the line there, and I got to go. To that, I had a car seat in the back of my car at 16 and felt isolated from my peers. So, no, it's not okay to tell your kids to take care of parent other kids in the household. It establishes a pattern of unrealistic expectations the parents have for their eldest kids. You try to take one day for yourself where you don't smell like formula and baby powder, and suddenly you're the bad guy. Parents are not entitled to do that to their children. Making a blanket statement like, I think it's okay for parents to tell their older children to help out and/or to babysit their younger siblings, is just wrong because parents take advantage, and it becomes a non-negotiable expectation. Commenter 3. NTA. This is predification and emotional manipulation. You're still a kid yourself, and your mom's role is to take care of you, not the other way around. Cooking, cleaning is part of her role as a parent and caretaker, just as childcare for your 4-year-old sister is. You're not the parent here. Your mom is leaning on you for childcare in a way that isn't fair, respectful, or sustainable. You're allowed to set boundaries, and shouldn't be guilted when you stick to them. Commenter 4. NTA. This is predification. I personally do not see a problem with you watching your sister once in a while, for a few hours, but the consistency is the issue here. Your mom is a SAHM? Have I read that correctly? Then it's even more ridiculous. Single moms have to take their kids everywhere because they can't afford sitters or don't have family to watch their kids. Itsy. Ridiculous to me being a SAHM and then pawning off the toddler to my own child so I can run errands for hours. That's not right. It all depends on how far you are willing to go and how bad it actually is. I can only react to what I know. I don't know how bad it actually is, or if you are being a teenager about this. If it's overall horrible, and there are more issues than this. This is my recommendation: talk to your dad. If that's not possible, talk to a teacher counselor at school. Talk to family like aunts, uncle, grandparents if possible. If all that's not possible, get a job so you can't watch your sister anymore. Save the money, move out when you turn 18. Remember to take birth certificate and important documents with you. Stories. Number 7. Aita, for blocking all contact with my step-siblings as well when my dad said I don't meet the standards to be in his family. A while ago, my dad called me out of the blue to tell me that he didn't like that I mentioned I had a sister whom he has no contact with when someone asked if I'm only child at the wedding of my stepbrother. He also told me that I don't fit in his family because he remarried into a rich family, and although I live very comfortable, I am completely self-made but not rich. We're speaking millions in his new family. Basically, he wanted to cut off contact with me and my kids because of these things. It's in total the 3rd time he dumped me, but stupid me was too loyal and always kept him in my life. Now I'm really done with him, but because it hurts, I decided to also block my step-siblings. Didn't grow up together since there was never made room for me. So not a tight bond between us, although they did nothing wrong to me. I just don't want to stumble upon their happy family life. Am I the asshole for cutting contact with them as well? I didn't explain it to them, just did it, because I know I will get shit from multiple people if I try to explain. Because they adore my dad, he is everything to them. He never was with me. My dad is also a clear narcissist and is masking, so his environment will never believe how he treated me because I'm one of the few who knows him a long time and knows when he's bullshitting to have people adore him. Comments. Commenter. 1. Nope. Unfortunately, they are casualties of your father's awfulness, NTA. Commenter. 2. Ha ha ha. Your dad is a narcissist. He didn't like that you wouldn't deny the existence of a sibling? Is he rewriting history? Having a relationship with him requires you deny reality and change reality to match his NTA. Reply. Your last sentence actually really helps me. Thank you. Commenter 3, NTA. But I would tell them something along the lines of, Dad has again decided I'm not good enough to be part of his family. I cannot keep being put down whenever something doesn't suit his life. So for my own mental health, I'm completely cutting the bond. I wish you all a happy life and I'm sorry, but I can't go on being treated like this, and the only way I can stop it is by not engaging anymore. That unfortunately also means I will not be in contact with you guys, but I'm sure you'll manage and understand. If not now, then down the road. When Dad lost his last little scapegoat. Reply. The thing is, they don't know anything about how my dad treats me since all they saw is the amazing dad. My stepmother never wanted me to be a part of her family because having 5 kids is too much. She has 4 of her own, so they were already not inviting me to family stuff, only to some. But I guess they painted a picture to my step-siblings that I couldn't or didn't want to come. I never was allowed to be in the family WhatsApp group, for example. I know the existence because my dad added me and then removed me a half an hour later. But I already saw the group had years of existence. Commenter 4. NT, don't let Dad back in. Chances are he will show up sometime again, like when he breaks up. Or if people are asking about his daughter. Don't give him anything. Reply. Yes, rationally. I agree. Emotionally, that's hard. Because I feel like an orphan then. Stories number 8. My 35F husband 35M gave me an ultimatum. Find a new job or he walks. My husband and I have been together for 11 years, married for 4. Sorry for how long this is. I had to make sure to add backstory and context. I'm a schedule coordinator and have been at this job for a little over 4 years now. I make really good money, great benefits, bonuses, the best management and co-workers you could ask for, and I got to work from home 2 days a week. It was an hour drive to work and 1 hour 20 home within the first year. It got really busy. We got so busy, I had to work 10, 12, sometimes 14-hour days to keep up. My attitude in the workplace changed, and I got mean and stressed. I would come home crying because I felt like I couldn't keep up, and that I was failing at my job. I stopped working out or eating properly. And my husband was the only one who I could complain to about things. Finally, after 2 years of this, we finally hired another coordinator. She is great. We get along so well and have a bunch in common. I love going to the office to see her face because we get along so well. After we hired her, our office moved further from my house. New drive is 1 HR 20 in the morning and 1 HR 45 to 2 hours whole depending on traffic. I was working from home 2 days a week and going in 3 days a week after the move. Husband said he never sees me, and when I get home I'm always tired and never want to do anything. He wanted me to ask my job if I could move to 3 days a week. I asked, and they said they need to see that I can keep up with scheduling before allowing 3 days a week, which I understood because of common sense in the workplace. I told husband that, and he got upset saying they're taking advantage of me, and that all we do is wait. He says he's seen me cry and suffer so much for this place, and that they keep promising, but don't produce. We argued and didn't bring it up again for a while. In April of this year, one of our very close friends died, really young husband, and I realized that life is really short, and we both made moves at our workplaces. I told my job about our friend and asked to work from home 4 days a week. I told them, I know it's a lot to ask for, but if they can't work with me, I'll have to start looking for a closer job because I need to do better for myself and my family. They said they would work with me on it, but they need to hire a third coordinator first and get them trained before they would allow it. Again, I understood, because I know how busy my job is. I told husband and was so excited they were willing to work with me, and he just got upset. We argued again and again. He said I cared more about my job than him, that I don't care about his feelings. All the whole, we're both crying at this point. And that's when he told me, if they don't give me 4 days a week by the end of the year, and I decide to stay at this job, he would walk out. I've worked so hard and built up my division to what it's becoming, and the company is still growing. On the other hand, I've also suffered. But things are getting better. We just need to wait a little more. I love my husband, but I also love what I do. So Reddit, has anyone else been in this situation before? What would you do in my situation? Any advice is appreciated. Comments. Commenter. 1. Your job is stringing you along. Your department is overworked and understaffed. You mentioned 4 years. Have you received bonus and promotions if you're the one growing the department? Does anyone else get to work from home 4 days a week? This job is affecting your mental health and personal life in more ways than you can see. You and your husband need to work together to figure out a plan for your job. Something like a 30-day transition to 4 days a week from home, or you're giving. In your resignation, give management the weekend to think about it. If they say no, give notice and focus on preparing for job hunting and a period of unemployment, if you can afford it. If you don't, your husband may seriously come to resent you. He hasn't mentioned supporting you both financially if you have to quit, but assume and hope he's prepared to do that. You sound very skilled in your role. Hopefully you are able to find something new soon. Reply. I started getting bonuses and profit sharing after I trained the first coordinator without asking for compensation. Then, I was just happy to get the help. The more I read the comments, the more I realized the job is blinding me from realizing how much it's affecting my personal life and health. Commenter 2. They said they would work with me on it, but they need to hire a third coordinator first and get them trained before they would allow it. That's not working with you. That's giving you an open-ended delay to string you along. They called your bluff because they know that you love what you do. Tell them that if they don't allow it, they'll be searching for 2 new coordinators. Commenter 3. Add me to those who agree with your husband. He's been telling you for a long time that your job is hurting you, hurting him, and hurting your marriage, and you keep letting it. You mean so much to him while, to your company, you're just a cog in the machine, and if you quit or die, they'd have a replacement hired in a week, maybe less. They're stringing you along and you, in turn, are stringing your husband along. You're going to have to decide what's more important, this job or your marriage, because you're going to lose one of them. Stories number 9. I cheated on my fiancé with a man who is twice my age. My fiancé M23 and IF19 got engaged when I was 18. He was chosen by my family. Arranged marriage. He is perfect. I mean, he seems perfect. Everyone says I'm so lucky. He is so much more handsome than you. He has such a nice family. Very good people. He is in medical school? Lucky you. Well, I fucking hate him. He is a mama's boy. Every day I have to practice cooking because apparently my future master, aka future husband, doesn't know how to cook and must come home to a cooked meal and a clean house otherwise. I deserve it if he cheats on me. Who cares if I also have a job? He avoids me on my period because I'm moody. And he doesn't like that. He wants a son because who else is gonna inherit the Iron Throne? And he buys me flowers for every occasion, and I don't even like flowers, and he doesn't even care to ask or notice fucking basic red roses. Well, I met someone at work. He is 40. He makes me look forward to going back to work. He is so kind. He fixes my messes, so my boss won't fire me. I can talk to him about anything, and he doesn't just say, in response to everything. He actually listens. One weekend I was on my period, and my parents weren't home. I just really wanted someone to coddle me. I called my fiancé, and he canceled our weekend plans. My coworker called, and I just started crying my eyes out and told him I want someone to coddle me. He came to my home an hour later and took me to his home. I lied down on his bed while he cooked my comfort food and bought me chocolate and ice cream. We watched a movie together and cuddled. He didn't care that I made his sheets dirty. It was the first time anyone had cared about me. He asked me what I need, and he did it. I slept with him that weekend. He didn't ask, I was the one who wanted it. We have been in a relationship since then. He is serious about me and wants me to break off my engagement and marry him. My fiancé doesn't know. He is just happy that I'm not as clingy anymore. I'm gonna dump him at some point. I just don't know how my parents will disown me. Edit. Thanks for your advice. If I wanted it, I would ask on advice subreddit. I'm starting to believe Reddit is full of know-it-alls who know my situation better than I do. Just break up with him. Yeah, thanks. It just hasn't occurred to me. I didn't have a choice in starting the relationship. But sure, they will just allow me to end it. Your coworker is using you. Have you met him? No? Well, I have, so none of you can know the things I know about him. Edit 2. So y'all call me a kid and then you throw shul insults at me? That says a lot. About you. Pathetic. I'm done with this sub-o. And I think I hurt some feelings. Not my fault some of you are so fragile. Don't insult someone if you don't want to be insulted back. Comments. Commenter. 1. You're young, and it sounds culturally like you are stuck in a situation you don't want to be. But don't jump from one man's bed into another, thinking it will solve your problems. Especially someone double your age and okay with cheating. Take a beat and figure out how to get yourself independent. Start stockpiling cash for your own place if you can, and look up resources. Commenter. 2. You're being used by both men. I truly hope you are able to find a healthy connection, and also give yourself the love you deserve. Commenter. 3. Yeah, your fiancé sucks because he sees marriage as a checklist and not a want. Therefore he doesn't really care about the details. But with all due respect, that 40-plus-year-old guy also recognizes you are a vulnerable, naive girl, and is taking advantage of your vulnerability, DK what it is. But such people seem to have a radar for sniffing out vulnerable people to groom advantage of. If he genuinely wanted to help you, trust me, he would not agree to sleeping with you. You're jumping from one train wreck to another. You just don't realize it yet. Maybe in 5 years you'll realize it. Or maybe not. Commenter 4. Honestly, you are too immature to be in a relationship. Any relationship, you are cheating instead of just breaking up with him. You think a guy twice your age is a better match, when in reality he is likely just telling and showing you what you want until he traps you. You say things like, you want a career, but then are also excited that your side piece fixes my messes so my boss won't fire me. If you can't own your mistakes and grow and learn from them, how do you expect to succeed? Not making mistakes is not the only thing in a career. Wouldn't shock me if you were the side piece either. I'd suggest breaking it off with your fiancé or this other guy, and work on yourself until you are ready for a relationship. Stories number 10, Aita for breaking up with my BF because he forgot me at the airport. I, 28F, have been in a long-distance relationship for about 5 months with Eric. He lives in a town that either takes 12 hours to drive to, 7 hours by train, or an hour flight. Valentine's Day was coming up, so I bought a flight to go see him so we could spend a week together and celebrate together. When I got up in the morning, I started sending him snaps of me getting to the airport and about being exited to see him. When I got to the airport, I messaged him that I would see him in a bit, but there was no reply. This is when my gut feeling started telling me something was off, but I pushed it away, hoping that I was just overreacting. When I landed, I messaged him that I would see him soon, but to no reply. I was still hoping so hard. When the arrival's door opened, I was so hopeful that he was there. But in the end, I was heartbroken to see he wasn't. I felt so undervalued and embarrassed because I started crying in a corner of the airport. I had only come to this city to see him, and I was staying with him, so what was I gonna do? I called him over and over to no reply, then decided fuck him. I'm gonna go do my own thing. I ended up at a pub drinking tea, and after about an hour there, he messaged me, not called, but sent me a damn message. His excuse was that he had fallen asleep, and that he was sorry. I honestly felt so betrayed, because how can I not be worth setting a damn alarm? In the end, I ended up staying with him because I couldn't afford a hotel or to change my flight, and that's when I found out that he was staying up at night playing video games. When I got home, I decided that I couldn't be with someone who undervalues me so much and broke up with him. At the time he agreed, but now he sent me a love letter declaring his love and that he's sorry for everything and doesn't want to lose me. I feel like I'm overthinking things and just need some advice. Did I overreact to him not picking me up at the airport? Aita for breaking up with my BF because he forgot me at the airport? Edit to clarify. We made these plans together 2 months before I left. He was well aware of when and where I was arriving, and he was the one who offered to come get me. Secondly, I posted here about this now because I just received the love letter. Today. Some of comments, how they met. He is originally from my city, so he comes here often to see his family. We met online and spent a couple weeks dating before he went off to university. So mostly long distance, I guess. Commenter, does he have a visit coming up? Because it sounds like he's waited almost 7 months since you broke up with him to try to get you back. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just trying to reactivate your relationship for when he's visiting. Reply. Yeah, he is coming home for holiday in a couple weeks. So you have a great point there. Commenter, think of all the effort you went through, and think about whether or not he would actually do the same on his own, without prompting from you or anyone else. I think you know the answer based on his current actions, or rather inaction. Wish you the best, OP, because you do deserve better. Reply. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is making me feel more sure about my decision. I also found out that he hadn't bothered to get me a pillow or a blanket. He had to get it from some friends until after he woke up, and messaged me that he fell asleep. He knew I was coming for weeks. Commenter downvoted. Was this the only mistake he ever made in your relationship? Or is it pretty normal for you to feel forgotten? Dude fell asleep one time. If that's all it takes, then I suspect the relationship didn't have much going for it. Reply. No. I guess this has happened once before when he was visiting here. His family is from here. We had a date, and he left me waiting. For 2 hours before showing up, he said he had to help his little sister, which I respected because I'm a big sister of 5, who is very protective of my siblings. I had honestly forgotten about this until you just asked, damn commenter. So that happened in February, and he just sent you a letter now. In September? Reply. Yes, it came a little out of the blue for me too, commenter. So why didn't you just take the bus over to his place instead of creating all of this drama over him oversleeping? Reply. Because as soon as I mentioned it, he said he would pick me up. This was the first time I was flying to him. I didn't think to ask for his address after he said he would come get me. So to answer your question, I didn't know when he lived. Update post. Just to be clear, the cringe is me. Hilariously dumb, but cringe all the same. I've hesitated to post this because if this gets back to him, he'll definitely know it's about him. So it's been almost a year since I 29F posted my story about breaking up with my ex, 28M, and I just want to give a quick thank you to everyone who reached out and reality checked me. I needed it. Y'all are DA bomb now. On to my updated, so I took y'all's advice-ish, and stuck to my guns about being broken up. But I'm the kind of person who hates being the bad guy, so I told him we could still be friends, and he accepted. Looking back, I definitely think he was hoping for another chance. We kept hanging out every so often, and it was a good time. Couple weeks go by, and I met someone new, and I wanted to do the right thing and tell my ex in person. So after a hangout, I'm walking with him to the bus, nervous F, 'cause I hate confrontation, and I'm thinking, shit, it's now or never. So I took a breath and proceeded, me. So, I wanted to tell you something because I wanted to be honest with you, X. Looking a bit trepidations. Okay, me. I wanted to let you know that I've started seeing someone and, give you a heads up, X. Silence, X. Now starting to rub his head and looking as sad. I had a nightmare last night where you told me you were dating someone, and now this happens. Me. Has no idea why TF to say to that. Brain blackout. I have no idea why TF came over me, but I proceeded to raise my hands and give jazz hands and say in a kinda chalked-off small voice, me. You have powers. Now, to this day I still don't know why TF I did what I did, and it still cracks me up. I mean, where the heck did that come from? My friends think it's hilarious, and my mom just gave me a high five while laughing. My ex just turned around and walked into the darkness, and I haven't seen or heard from him since. I guess I unlocked a secret hack in the game of life, I hope. Y'all enjoy this story as much as I do. The end edit. To clean up the post edit. 2. Saw some comments and want to clarify this happened a few weeks after the last post edit. 3. Okay, some info from the other post. My ex is originally from my city and visits his family here. That is how we would hang out after the breakup. Some of comments. Commenter. Okay, that's funny. How's your relationship with your current partner going? Reply. It didn't really go anywhere, but he was a good guy all the same. Thanks for asking, commenter. Turns out you had powers too. You made your ex disappear, reply. Low timeline clarification. Ah, well, just to be clear, this happened a couple weeks after my first post. So yes, I should have just gone zero contact in the first place, but at least it wasn't a year. You live and you learn. At least I have an epic story to tell. Commenter. What I don't understand is why you wanted to do the right thing and tell him that you were seeing someone new when you'd already broken up with him. At that point, if you're seeing someone is none of his business regardless of him being an ex, reply. That's a fair point, and to be honest, I've been in therapy and have worked on a lot on boundaries, so I would like to think I would handle this situation differently today, but at the time the breakup was mutually agreed upon, and we both didn't desire to just suddenly not talk or see each other again. I think, if I'm being honest, the whole staying friends thing was a bad idea, and the letting him know I'm seeing someone thing is an idea I picked up from media, thinking it was normal. You live and you learn. I guess, OP adds, but yeah, after the letter I should have seen that staying friends was not okay. Stories number 11. My boss 24M is dating my ex 19F, and now I 19M feel so uncomfortable and insecure at work. My ex and I broke up around 4 months ago after dating for a little over a year. She was the one who broke up with me, but at the time I agreed that it was for the best, so we ended things on good terms. We're pretty chill now, and we have mutual friends, so we often all hang out together. So things between us are chill and friendly. I work at a research lab at my university, and I just recently landed the position. After a pretty damn long and competitive application process, I met my boss, who's a grad student, and we became buddies pretty fast. He's a really nice and funny dude that knows what he's doing. I see him every day since me and 2 other undergrads work under him and help with his research while he helps use with our own fast. Forward about 2 weeks and I see on my ex's Snapchat story a fucking picture of my boss with a heart emoji. I'm shocked as fuck, so I reply to her story asking her who her new boy is, and sure enough she tells me she's dating my boss. I feign happiness for her, and I don't tell her that he's my boss, or that I know him in any way. But damn, I felt like someone just stabbed me in the heart. I thought I didn't have feelings for after our breakup, but after seeing her story, I was just hit with a pang of jealousy. Maybe it's because he's a major step up from me. I'm a poor, disorganized undergrad, and he's a successful, young talent who has his shit together. The next day at work, I'm basically on edge the whole day. I would look at my boss, remember that he's dating my ex, and just feel so uncomfortable. The rest of the week was like that too. I stopped joking around with him and kind of just stopped talking in general to him. Now I dread seeing him every day, because the fact that he's my boss, so he orders me around, just makes me feel shittier and more below him. He's got the girl and I've got no one. I still love my job though, and I worked so hard to get it. So I'm not planning on leaving. I also feel like a shitty person since my boss has been nothing less of nice and is honestly a great guy. Now I just feel like I should have tried harder in our relationship because damn, she was pretty perfect in every way, and I just let us all slip through. The other day, she came over to have lunch with him during his lunch break, and I saw them laughing together, and yay, another wave of sadness and jealousy. What do I even do now? How do I stop feeling like this? How should I normalize the situation at work? TL. DR. My ex started dating my boss at my new job that I worked my ass off to get thought. I was long over her, but when I saw them together, I was hit with so much pain and jealousy. I'm not coping well at work, but I'm not going to leave my job. Any suggestions on what I should do at this point? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. It means you have to start dating again and focusing on your stuff. The fact you are jealous, it is because you believe they are doing better than you do at this moment. When you start dating again, and if your ex-girl still has feeling for you, she would be the one at your position right now. Reply, yay, that hits pretty close to home. Commenter 2. I wouldn't let this get you down. He is a total loser. He's 24 and supposedly doing well, but he has to date teenage undergraduate students? Just concentrate on working hard, and you will be fine. You worked hard to land this position, and you should not let anyone mess this up. When you are ready, you will find someone else. Best of luck. OP. Reply. Thank you. I really appreciate the support. We'll definitely try to focus 100% on work, and not think about my boss or my ex-commenter 3. He is not a step up from you. I need you to know that people aren't ranked. He is just a person, with achievements and failures and flaws just like you. He's young and maybe not an effective manager. You said he orders you around, but try not to take it personally. He sees you as a friend, co-worker, subordinate, threat to his relationship, and also probably feels a bit awkward about the situation. As another poster mentioned, he's dating someone significantly younger. When I was 24, my friends and I would definitely make fun of guys who dated 19-year-olds. There's just a huge maturity difference at that age, especially for girls. She's not perfect either, and it turns out you weren't right for each other. You said he's a good guy, and prior to this, you were friends. Don't try to be his best bud, but try your best to forgive him and move on. Focus on your work and yourself. You worked so hard to get this job, and it sounds like a great thing to have on your resume. It will only make you miserable to dwell on it. Commenter 4. Great advice about the ranking thing. It can be easy to put yourself on a ladder along with everyone else. Your SOX has dated, and will date, but the fact is relationships don't work like that. There is no strictly better or worse, only different people with their own pros and cons, and some fit together better than others. Commenter 5. I think you are looking at it the wrong way. I mean, you used to fuck your boss's girlfriend. Commenter 6. Exactly. He will be as much as embarrassed as you, just with a different reason. You say he orders you around in a bad way? Update. My boss 24M is dating my ex 19F, and now I 19M feels so uncomfortable and insecure at work. Thanks to everyone who gave me advice on my first post. For the past week, I've been trying to focus on myself and my work, and not care about my ex. And my boss who's dating her. It worked pretty well. I started a painting and I'm pretty close to finishing it, and I impressed my boss, the professor who owns the lab, not the one dating my ex, by staying late for 2 days in a row to finish a really difficult experiment. During our lab meeting, my boss shouted me out in front of the entire lab and said he was really impressed by my hard work and dedication. That felt good. As for the situation with my boss and my ex, he found out, like I mentioned in my previous post, when my ex told me who her new boyfriend was. I didn't mention that he was my boss, so neither of them knew. 2 days ago, my boss and us 2 other undergrads were in a conference room discussing a paper when my ex came in. She came to drop off my boss's wallet that I think he forgot or something. Anyway, she saw me, did a double take, and went, "Jaake?" She was definitely super surprised and caught off guard, and her boss was already like, "WTF?" So I was just like, Sarah?" She shot me another shocked, wide-eyed look, and left. Suffice to say the rest of the meeting was pretty awkward. The next day, it was obvious that my boss now knew our history. Things just turned so awkward, like he didn't know how to act around me anymore, and what to say. Now we're both awkward around each other. He's still nice and all, but things are just uncomfortable. Between us 2 now, it's not his fault though. I think that things will get better between the 2 of us. But as of right now, I actually feel kind of relieved that he now knows. Something about how both of us now don't know how to act and what to do kind of makes me feel reassured. Sarah also called me the night that she found out I worked there, but I missed her call and forgot to call back. It's good though. I've been trying to think of her less and distance myself a bit. But if things continue to remain really awkward to the point where both of our work is affected, I'll consider talking to my boss about switching me to work under another grad student instead. But yay. That's about all. Again, thanks for the help, guys. TL. Dr. Been focusing on myself and my work. Boss found out that I'm his girlfriend's ex, and things are now awkward, but bearable. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I am actually sort of glad you didn't answer your ex's phone call or return it. I cannot imagine, for the life of me, any usefulness to that conversation. I mean, did she not know anything about the department you were in at school? Or the likelihood of seeing you if she kept her dating pool there? IMHO. You really demonstrated an ability to be above drama by not immediately telling your boss or Sarah about your previous work, romantic relationship. And I'm super stoked that, instead, you just focused on work and got praised by your boss. Boss, good for you. Reply. Actually, me too. We're still friends and all, but I think I really need to put some distance between us and focus on myself for now. I'm glad I missed the call too. I applied for the job after we broke up and never mentioned it to her, so I guess she never found out. Thanks for the support. Commenter 2. You should clear up the awkwardness at work. Go to your boss and tell him, I guess you know now that Sarah and I dated. I hope that won't affect our working relationship. Reply. I thought about doing that too, but it's been only a day since he found out, so I'll give it some time, but if it gets worse over the next week, I'll consider it. Commenter 3. If anything, your boss probably feels embarrassed that he's dating the girl that his 19-year-old subordinate dated. That probably feels slightly emasculating to him if he enjoyed feeling powerful over you. He has got your leftovers mentality, if you will. Sounds like you are killing it and doing everything right. Keep up the positive attitude and hard work. Thanks for the update. Reply. Oh damn, I never thought of it that way, but that makes sense. But the dude's a nice guy and I don't want to hate on him, but yay. I honestly don't even know how they met and got together, haha. Undergrads are usually pretty separated from all the grad students at our school. And thank you. Commenter 4. OP should bring in some food he's made from the night before, and then offer it to his boss. Hey, I heard you like leftovers. You want to try this? Reply Limau. That would be so funny. Commenter 5. I am glad you're doing better, but if he's working at the university which you and your ex attend, then it is 100% his fault he's running into awkward social situations when he dates undergrads. Even if she isn't a student, she's 19. Who does he think she socializes with at that age? Only professors and researchers? Reply thanks. He's actually a second-year grad student at the same university, and just works as a researcher at my lab. I have no idea how they got together though. Stories number 12, AETA. Telling my family my sister couldn't work with me because of them, I-28F. Run my own business as a seamstress selling clothes I've made, as well as doing alterations. I've been open for 2 years, and I do a steady business, and my primary income from my business is the alterations I do. I have a sister 29F, who will call Lana. Lana is currently a recovering alcoholic, and I'm trying my best to support her due to DUIs. She has been struggling to find a job, and her mental health isn't helping her keep any job she finds. I feel really bad for her, and while we were visiting my parents on Monday, I made the offer she could work for me. When I made the offer, I said that she could work inventory and register like a normal employee. She seemed pretty on board but said she would have to think about it since she didn't want to leech off me. Our parents were also really on board and encouraging, and thought this would be a great opportunity for both of us. Wednesday, my mom called me and asked if the building would now be in both Lana and I's names. I asked her what she meant, and she said since Lana is co-owner, her name should be on the lease. I told her it wouldn't because she wouldn't be co-owner. I made it clear to my mother that Lana would be like any other employee. The reason I wanted her to work with me is so if she relapsed, she wouldn't risk losing her job again since I know what she's going through. Mom beat around the bush trying to convince me to make Lana co-owner, and I repeatedly told her no. Not only for Lana's sake but also the sake of my business. I don't think Lana would be a bad co-owner, but at this time, she's still fairly unstable, and I don't want her to get stressed and fully break her sobriety. I made this clear to my mother in our phone call. Before she eventually gave up, I thought that was the end of it. And few hours Lana called to ask if I hired her what she would be doing. I told her the same thing I said at dinner, that she would mostly be doing inventory, register, etc. She asked if she would help with any of the clothes, and I told her when she learned to sew, I would consider it. She accepted and seemed excited with the arrangement since both of us have always loved fashion, and we agreed I would host an interview with her at the end of next week on my day off. My dad called me yesterday scolding me about the position I was putting Lana in, and was telling me a meaner version of what my mother was saying and continuously trying to hound me to give Lana a higher position. I was getting really frustrated, and I told him that if he and Mom wouldn't stop pushing, I just wouldn't hire Lana at all. My dad called me a terrible sister before hanging up. I called Lana and told her what happened, and my words about not hiring her. She got upset with me and I apologized, and told her I still wanted her to work with me. I just didn't want to drama with Mom and Dad. She understood but is still upset with me. I would even say that even in the heat of the moment. Comments. Commenter Sandrun 1 NTA. Ask your dad if he would give away half his business to a drunk sibling who has no experience, because that is what your mother is demanding. Reply, yeah, especially since Lana is currently living with them while she recovers. They know exactly how she's doing and that she isn't fit to run a business. I have no doubts she'll be a great employee, since she's always been the type to put her best foot forward in all she does. But with where she is at the moment, I think the stress would make her relapse. Commenter 2. She doesn't even sew. Why would you give away half your business to a recovering alcoholic? I could see if your parents tried to buy into the business by offering some capital but just expecting you to share like it's a cookie. I don't understand their thought process. NTA reply. Sometimes I wonder if my parents still think we're teenagers, arguing over who gets to drive the family car. As I said in a previous comment, their behavior is really out of the blue since they've always been really sweet and supportive when it came to my business. I want to believe they might just be misunderstanding something, or maybe they're just stressed, trying to help Lana as best they can, and taking that stress out in the wrong places. I'm just hoping this gets resolved before I interview Lana next week. Commenter 3. NTA, you need to start hanging up on your parents if they bring up your sister working for you. That is between me and Lana, and I will not be discussing it with you. Reply, I'll do that if they call me again. Thank you. Commenter 4 NTA. But I honestly don't think this is going to end well. Reply, you and me both. Nobody has contacted me since yesterday. Update to Aita for telling my family my sister couldn't work with me because of them? So before I get into the update, I would like to clear some questions that were raised in the comments. I tried my best to answer them all, but I got a lot. First, Lana is not a felon. In our state, her DUIs are considered misdemeanors due to the BAC level she had, plus the fact that her only crime while driving under the influence was going below the speed limit. Second, my parents' behavior was very out of the blue. They're usually very supportive and rational, but I think that the stress of Lana is making them act irrationally, as one commenter put it. They see her working for me as a magic bullet to fix everything, and when I tried to set the boundary of her being an employee rather than a co-owner, they thought I was not going to give her a good job at all. Third, my business is very small. I run it all by myself, and like I said in my first post, most of my money comes from alterations rather than my own designs. Fourth, what I said about Lana not getting the job was heat of the moment. Frustration when talking to my dad. He was yelling at me over the phone and was being incredibly pushy, and it felt like I was talking to a brick wall. I still have full intentions to hire Lana, and the interview for this coming Friday is still on. I just said it to try and get Dad off my back, and I apologized to Lana about even saying it. To begin with, since it wasn't fair to her fifth, some people were implying Lana's drinking had to do with our parents. It does not. Up until this point, we've never had any major rifts with our family, and we've always been incredibly tight-knit. The reason for her drinking was because of something outside of us. I won't say what, since it is not my place, but our parents have nothing to do with her addiction other than giving both of us the addiction gene. Anyways, here's the update. Lana called me after dinner last night and we talked. She spoke with our parents and told me that my suspicions of a lot of this being an stress-filled misunderstanding were correct, and she invited me over this morning for breakfast with them all. I got back literal minutes ago as I'm writing this. It was pretty awkward at first. Our parents were still on this high horse about Lana getting a good position, however we were able to talk it out. Lana explained how she doesn't feel ready for such a position, while she's still recovering, and how it would make her feel like she's leeching off me. She also pointed out that their pushiness was impacting her and I's relationship, and stressing her out more since she felt like she had to pick a side. She appreciated their concern. However, as she pointed out, that concern was coming at a detriment. To all of us, I told them how I felt like they didn't respect my business, and how hurtful their words and actions were, especially my dad yelling at me, as raised voices has always been something I'm sensitive about. I explained my perspective of how I didn't want to stress out Lana with a position she really isn't ready for, nor does she have the experience for, and it felt like I was getting punished for trying to help her out. I brought up what another commenter said about how it was like expecting me to put her on the lease of my apartment she doesn't even live in. My parents really took some time to think over what Lana and I were saying while they made breakfast, and when we sat down to eat they apologized to us and explained that they were terrified of Lana having another relapse. Apparently, before we were born, my mom's cousin suffered from addiction and mental health, which eventually led to her committing, and they were terrified that the same might happen to Lana, which was why they were pushing for a more permanent position. It was a hard talk, but those were the important bits. It ended with some tears from my mom and so many apologies. We've all agreed it would be good to look into family therapy. Lana is already seeing an addiction psychologist and plans to consult them about good family support groups and therapists at her next session. My parents keep occasionally texting me, asking if I need help with anything, and if I'm okay, which is their way of apologizing even more. The interview between Lana and I is still on, and I've already set some boundaries with her about what it means working under me to ensure she has structure without enabling her. And when we get the therapist, I'll also be speaking with them for more tips. I'm a bit surprised things resolved this fast, but not really. My family and lingering tension is like oil and water. None of us can ever go to bed upset. I think things are going to be weird for a while, but in the end I think it'll be all right. I'm excited to work with Lana, and I am nervous but eager to start family therapy, since I think it will be good for all of us. Thank you all for your kind comments and support. Other than responding to comments, this will probably be the last post I make, since I just made this account to get advice. Thank you. Comments. Commenter 1. It sounds like you'll all be okay in the long run as long as you continue to communicate. This shows very clearly how addiction affects more than just the user, and I think it's great that you're all looking into getting some help to deal with this. I hope you're all able to find some healing, and that your relationships are made stronger through this. Good luck to all of you. Commenter 2. As someone who comes from a family with generations of addiction, not many people understand that addiction not only destroys the person, but those around them and how much they suffer for it. I feel for both you and your parents, and Lana, I genuinely hope recovery for her, and healing for your family. Best of luck. Commenter 3. Please don't give over half of your company just because she is your sister. Not now or later. If you do a deep dive into family-owned businesses, you would see that they are not as good as they seem. Best of luck in the future. Commenter 4. This is the way. Good for you for being such a supportive sister. She's lucky to have you. I'm just not sure how I feel about your parents saying they're terrified of Lana relapsing in front of Lana. When someone is struggling with their mental health, it just doesn't seem wise to make them feel even more guilt and potential self-loathing by telling them how they're negatively affecting you. Honesty isn't always the best policy. It's okay to keep some thoughts to yourself. I would even suggest maybe your parents need to seek counseling on their own, rather than family therapy, so they can learn how to cope with this situation better, and how to support Lana in the right way. You seem to be doing just fine with it. Lana is as well. It's really just your parents. Stories number 13. Aita for agreeing and giving in to my stepson's every whim without a fight. I am a 45-year-old woman, and am currently in the middle of divorcing Jace, my 47-years-old husband of 21 years, while fighting for custody of Lizzie, me, and Jace's 15-year-old daughter. It all started 3 months ago when Justin, my 20-years-old stepson, Jace's son, showed up on our doorstep with all of his luggage, smiling like he had a cure for cancer, which he didn't. Instead, he had the bright idea of dropping out of college, even though he had only been attending classes for less than a month. At that point, immediately after hearing the news, Jace burst into a speech about how he trusts that our son knows what he's doing, and that he could stay in his old room only to turn on me as soon as Justin left to bring his stuff upstairs. All humor left his face as he started to tell me that Justin's needed motherly advice, and I need to stop him from ruining his life, as if he wasn't just telling him that he fully supported his decision. And this wasn't the first time he had done something like this either. Jace was always the fun parent. He refused to tell either of the kids the word no, because he knew that I always would. Lizzie didn't want to do her homework. Jace was completely on her side, telling her that it was me she had to convince. Justin got pulled over after drinking and driving, and I was the one grounding him while his father helped him steal his keys back. So when he told me I had to quote-unquote deal with him, I was already trying not to throw something at him. But just like all the other times, I bit my tongue and walked upstairs to his room. He already had dirty clothes in a pile on the floor, falling out of his dirty clothes basket. His drawers had other clothes messily thrown into them, only partly closed, but his PS5 was already set up and he was logging it back into the internet, knocking on the door. I watched as he turned to me confused, as I awkwardly stood by his door trying to come up with a plan, but I had no idea what to tell him. So I just asked him what he planned on doing now that he wasn't going to college, and he told me that he didn't know yet, that he might use the money that me and Jace had saved up for his next semester on Italy or something, as if we didn't have to take out massive loans just to get that money, and the money that he had wasted on the semester he had just dropped. I tried to tell him that we were already behind on the loans for that money, and if it wasn't going to go to college, then I was going to use it to pay back the bank. That's when he went off. He stood up, throwing his remote on his bed before going on a long yelling spree about how all I cared about was money and image, that I didn't love him, and that I wasn't his mother. I had no right to even talk to him. At some point during his yelling, Jace stormed into the room, looking in between us confused, because while nothing that Justin had been saying was new, Jace usually wasn't around to hear it. He was usually at work, especially whenever he wanted me to talk to either of the kids about anything. He would suddenly remember a paper he forgot to do, or a client he needed to call, but he had just witnessed his son called me a bitch and a gold digger, even though I was the one that made more money out of me and his dad relationship, and all I wanted in that moment was for Jace to stand up for me just one time. But instead, Jace just shrugged at me, telling me how he wasn't lying, and that I wasn't his mother, to which Justin jumped on with how I never support him and don't deserve to be part of his family. That was my breaking point. I never supported him? Then why did I drive him a state over every Friday for 3 months so that he could continue to be in a band that he quit because he was too good for them? Or when I argued with the football coach for an hour so he wouldn't suspend him from the team for being on academic probation, only for him to quit when he realized that he didn't like to be tackled? There were 1,000 other examples, and it only made me realize he was right. I didn't deserve to be a part of his family. I deserved better. So I just looked to Jace, telling him I wanted a divorce, and that Justin could do whatever he wanted, because I wasn't his mother, and I was going to stop acting like it. Was it in the heat of the moment? Yes. Did I regret it? Not at all. I don't think that either of them knew what that entailed, though, because after going downstairs I immediately packed both me and Lizzie's bags, before canceling both Jace's and Justin's car insurance and phone plan. I left a note on the door telling Jace not to forget to pay the bill as I was going to my sister's, and it wasn't my job to pay his house bills anymore. Luckily for me, when me and Jace got married, we kept our financial stuff to ourselves, just Venmoing each other money for bills every once in a while. At first Jace had borrowed our neighbor's phone to repay his bill, and started to leave multiple voicemails telling me to come home, how I was being irrational, and then after a few days I got a call from Justin. I couldn't help but answer it, wondering what he had to say to me now, but instead of an apology he just starts ranting about how Jace is freaking out, and told him that he couldn't go to Europe because of the divorce, and it would hurt my feelings. Then it dawned on me that Jace was still using me as an excuse, so I simply told Justin that I completely supported his trip to Italy if his dad did, which got me even more voicemails from Jace. But I ignored them, keep them saved while my sister had made me an appointment with her old divorce lawyer. Though a week later, when Justin called me again, I decided to answer again. This time he told me that he decided that he didn't want to go to Italy because he would have to renew his passport and didn't want to wait that long. So instead he had wanted to throw a congrats no more college party at the house, but his dad told him again that he had to talk to me because he didn't want to disturb me when I decided to come back home. So again I told him that I wasn't bothered by the party, and as long as his dad agreed, he could have the biggest party he wanted. After a month of ignoring Jace's calls, my lawyer finally had the divorce papers drafted up. We had most of our finances separate, so that was easy, and he could have the house. We both already have our own cars. The only thing that would really need discussing was about Lizzie. So after she had sent Jace the papers about the finances and stuff, and a time to meet, to split anything else, I stayed low contact still. Well, with Jace at least. At this point Justin was calling me almost every other day, asking me about something that Jace was avoiding to answer. Yet he still hadn't told him no. He let him throw the party, which ended quickly with the cops being called, and continued on to letting Justin buy a ferret, in which neither of them can find. Now we are still in the process of a divorce, as Jace doesn't want to budge on him getting full custody of Lizzie, even though that he knows that once we go to court about this, I'm gonna win. Especially with the parties, wild animals, and from what I heard, the yelling that has been happening over their Aita for still answering Justin's phone calls every few days he calls, and telling him yes, as long as his dad agrees. The last phone call he said that he was going to start his own personal break room in the garage or basement and hadn't decided yet. Comments. Commenter 1. I'd present the case of the fact stepson was caught drink driving. You took the keys away and his dad helped steal them back. How can he condone his own son drink driving? That ferret probably ran away because it was safer love that you're letting him live with the monster he created. Also at your daughter's age, the court should take her opinion into account. Commenter 2. Best post I have read on Reddit all year. Commenter 3. Seems like you handled that all right to me. It's a parent's job to parent their kid, and they've both made it clear that isn't you. You deserve someone who's actually going to take your side sometimes, instead of always making you out to be the bad guy. Stories number 14. 12-month-old twin nieces are not invited. SIL and MIL are arguing. I, 32F, and my future husband, 34M, are getting married in 4 months. My sister-in-law, Amy, has twin girls that will be 12 months old and a 6-year-old son prior to the twins being born. I had a conversation with Amy where she said to me she was looking forward to knowing at the 12-month mark there would be a child-free evening where she could let loose and she didn't want her kids there. I said that we would love to have her 6-year-old as the flower boy, and we agreed that he would be part of the ceremony and then be driven the short distance home to join his sisters with a babysitter during the reception. Fast forward to now Amy is shopping for dresses for the twins for the wedding day. I was confused to hear about it and asked why Amy seems to have forgotten our conversation and wants her twins at the wedding. I've been gentle, but I have said that it was only the 6-year-old that was planned to be there, and I wasn't too keen on the younger kids being there. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law are upset with my future husband and I about this decision. Mill has pushed for the whole family to be in the photographer's family portraits on the day, as the whole family will be together and dressed nice. Sister-in-law has said, your family deserves to be at your wedding, and has also said she doesn't want the 6-year-old to be attending events without the twins, because he has had trouble adjusting to them and is always asking to leave them behind. SIL doesn't want to encourage that behavior by having him attend anything without them, and so she has said that either all her kids come or none will. This conversation was tense, and I am very conflict avoidant. I left it there. Unresolved future husband doesn't want the twins there, as they do summon a considerable amount of attention, and he wants people focused on us. I don't really care if they are there or not, but I do feel like I've been dismissed by SIL and Mill, and they've tried to change plans without letting me know, and then tried to guilt-trip me when I called it out. Now it kind of feels like an ultimatum is being set, and the whole attitude around it has me wanting to put my foot down and push back FH, and I have offered up some compromises. We are having a gathering with all the same people the night before the wedding, and all their side of the family will be around for the morning after the wedding. We, the twins, would be so welcome there, and we would be able to get some great photos and have time together, but we would still have our wedding be child-free with exception of flower boy. But this was completely dismissed. I just want to know if I'm overreacting by saying they can't attend. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. It's your wedding, and SIL and MIL should have been more respectful about how they approached you about these concerns. That having been said, I would gently suggest that you and your fiancé may want to rethink how you're handling this. It is unusual to invite one child and not other siblings, and I don't follow the concern about 12-month-old twins stealing attention from you. If you hold firm, which is absolutely within your right, it means there will possibly be lingering hard feelings with your SIL and MIL going forward, and that you need to be okay with that. Just my $2 reply. Yes, I know it's weird to invite just one sibling. That's just how that original conversation landed, and it made sense at the time. We have a DIY venue, and in keeping things budget, we have family and friends helping out with a few things. Amy's husband was given the job of dog minder for our large dog. Mill was to be performing a wedding coordinator type role. We feel like that's a lot to handle if you're chasing around twins. It's not so much about stealing any spotlight, it's more about things running smoothly. Hope that makes a bit more sense. Commenter 2. Hold up, your large dog will be there and needs a handler. The handler is the father of the twins. The twins can't attend because they will be a distraction. But I think the dog must also be a distraction that requires a handler. If I were Amy, I'd be upset that my husband was assigned dog duty, and then we were told our kids weren't welcome. I just don't think you can ask people to DIY it for you so you can save money, and then also tell the unpaid labor to pay for a babysitter so you can have your preferred child-free wedding. It sounds to me like Amy's family is providing a lot: flower boy, dog wrangler, and possibly more. And you, your fiancé, aren't being very considerate of that. Reply. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and that looks really poorly on us from that angle, which is probably exactly how they would see things. Our dog is a fun addition, but not all that important. This has been the plan for the last 8 months or so because of the decision Amy made to not have her twins there. Changing that decision is totally up for discussion, and would change our plans with the dog handler job. I'd be willing to hire a dog handler to keep her there. No dramas. The drama comes from Amy choosing to have her twins there, when this plan has been in place since before they were born, and she didn't care to ask us if a change of plan was cool. Commenter 3. I would compromise and agree that, okay, no kids whatsoever then, and go without a flower boy. I almost feel like a 6-year-old little boy would be just as much of a loud distraction as 2 1-years. And your entire wedding is child-free anyways. So it would be odd that one single small child is the exception to that. Just avoid the whole thing and leave all the kids out of it. Reply. Yes, I feel like that's a great option. Totally unfair on the 6-year-old though, as he's been told all about it and is so excited. I don't want to do that to the poor kid. Op should get her fiancé to deal with his mother and sister. Reply. We are working on this together. This post is from my perspective, for the purpose of sharing it with him in a moment. OP responds to a comment on her FH wanting time and space to have his parents' full attention for the wedding, and not being distracted by the twins. Reply. You're spot on, FH, and I have given a lot to his parents, so they can be around to help with the grandkids. We have had them living in our home for the past 5 years because we live close to SIL. What that means is, for the past 5 years, every outing, event or conversation has revolved entirely around these 3 children. It's become quite difficult for us, and FH wants one day that's not about them. There's obviously other reasons too, but this is for sure a contributing factor. Commenter 4. I don't really care if they are there or not. If you don't really care, then allow them to be at the ceremony and in the pictures. Then go to a babysitter for the reception. Ultimately, and years down the road, you may find that you are happy. You have pictures with all of the family in them. Reply. This is the easy option for sure. But it's not just me. FH is dead set against it. I get why. Our lives have all revolved around these kids for such a long time. The Mill and Ethel have lived with us for the past 5 years because we live so close to SCL, and they want to be around the help. But especially in the last 6 months, we have been asking them to sort out their living plans long term, as we don't want them with us forever, and we are starting our married life, planning our own family, and there's a lot on hold waiting for them to leave. The twins are their excuse to stay, while paying no rent, no groceries, no bills, but the twins need us. It's true, but it's also made FH resentful. And me a bit. To FH wants a day that doesn't revolve around them. Update 2. 12-month-old nieces are not invited. SIL and MIL are arguing, so FH and I were invited to the twins' first birthday was this week. As much as I knew this was not the right time or place to have a discussion about a tense topic involving the exclusion of these 2 babies, it came up. Context. 1 week ago, FH spoke to his BIL father of the twins, and again said that the babies were not invited to the wedding. I wasn't there, and don't have further context on how this came up, or how the conversation was received, when we were around the dinner table for the birthday get-together. FH left the room for 1 minute. That was the moment SIL said to me, I'd like to check with you about what FH said about the wedding. He said the babies weren't invited to the ceremony or reception. So is that right? I said, yeah, that's our plan. This is not news to her. See last post. This has been my stance since before these kids were born. I excused myself shortly after and made myself busy in another room. FH sat at the table and apparently laid down the law with his family over this and some other issues. We left shortly after, but before we went, SIL said to me, "I respect that this is what you want, but I am really upset. Part of me feels so guilty that I've upset her. Part of me is annoyed and perplexed by her apparent shock at this information, as if we didn't have this conversation a month ago." Relevant comments. Commenter 1. She's allowed to be upset and have feelings about it. As long as that sentence means she'll drop it, I would just assume this topic is closed. Make no other mention of it unless they bring it up again. Reply. That's my plan. This has been put out there. Clear as crystal. No confusion. I will just be on edge expecting petty comments. I guess I have to be okay with that. I have hurt her feelings. Commenter 2. You really should have said, in front of everyone, like we talked about back whatever month, our plan has been no babies. Drive the 6-year-old home after the wedding. You said you were looking forward to a night without the kids? Bet you $1 they're trying to get free fancy family portraits out of the deal. I'd be tempted to let them, and then not give them the photos of just their family. Oh, we didn't have the photographer touch up every photo you can call them and buy those photos yourself. Reply. I did hear her say to FH something like, those photos are for a lifetime. Her babies being in the photos has come up several times. I don't understand that. These kids won't feel any attachment to an event that they don't remember from when they were. One commenter 3. Part of me feels so guilty that I've upset her. This would be a good feeling for you to examine. You seem to be taking on responsibility for her feelings. Why is that? Meanwhile, she seems to have no regard for your feelings. What is the basis of your guilt? Reply. I mean, I'm actually impressed with how she handled things in that moment, letting me know she was upset, but also that she respected the decision. I don't feel as though she had no regard for my feelings, as for me feeling responsible. For her feelings I feel that way, because I made a choice that hurt her feelings. That is my responsibility. What is UP's plan if her SIL shows up to the wedding with the twins? Reply. I have a feeling FH will have dealt with that before I make my way down the aisle. Commenter 4. Please tell your FSIL that she and her hubby had their day. This one is about you and your FH. Actually, she and FMIL know the twins will be the center of attention, and that's what they want. They want to show off to the rest of the family. The next thing we will see on here is that CL and ML won't attend if babies aren't invited. That's when you and FH need to stand together and tell them that they will be missed. And when people ask, you will tell the truth that MIL wants her golden child to be the center of attention at your wedding. If you back down this time, that's how your whole life will be. Stand firm. Reply. FH also told me ML said to him that this may be the only chance they get to introduce the twins to some elderly extended family that live 15 hours away. I personally feel as though if they can make it down for a wedding between a person they haven't met, me and someone they haven't seen, in a decade FH, they can make it down to meet the kids. If they cared to meet them, is OOP still planning to have the twins' father handle her dog? Reply. I think with all the tenseness between us all now, I will be asking someone else. Stories number 15. Head cheerleader. Tries arguing with my daughter over a parking space. School is back, and so it's back to life. Back to reality. My daughter gets to school and parks wherever she can get a spot in the student parking lot. On Friday this week, she gets to one spot, and the head cheerleader pulls up, beeps her horn at my daughter and says, excuse me? You're like in my spot. My daughter tells her it isn't her spot. No spot is reserved for anyone, and since school started she hasn't seen the cheerleader parking in the so-called reserved spot. The cheerleader finds another spot, and once in the school, she approaches my daughter at her locker and demands that she go move her car or she'll call a tow truck. My daughter tells her politely again, there's no reserving spots for parking and it's not going to injure her legs if her walk is a little longer. A teacher walks by and asks what's going on. The cheerleader tries playing victim of her parking spot being taken. The teacher reminds her that there is no assigned parking spots, and to stop making a big deal of it, my daughter leaves her locker and goes to homeroom. By the time my daughter returns to her locker, she finds notes taped to her locker calling her a parking space thief. My daughter goes to the principal and reports the harassment she has received. By the time the two are in the same class, they share the PA system says, "Will insert name report to the principal's office?" I can only imagine the conversation between the cheerleader and principal went small update. Saw someone comment saying social status, and it could be the cheerleader sees herself as Queen Bee. My daughter is captain of the girls' soccer team. But unlike the cheerleader, my daughter doesn't let her status as captain of the soccer team get to her update. As I was getting my mail, a car came speeding towards me. I took my phone out of my pocket, hit record, then out of the car came the cheerleader's mom and asked what is wrong with my daughter taking the parking spot. I slipped my phone in my pocket, and I told her, "The school doesn't pick a spot for students to park, it's first come, first serve." The mother tells me her daughter needs to be able to get the parking spot, or her daughter will be cursed with bad luck. She won't get into the school she wants to go to. She considers the spot lucky because her 3 other kids all had so-called good luck when they parked there. I just laughed at her saying, "Luck is what you make for yourself, not the actual superstition." As I turned to leave, I heard the woman scream, "Your daughter better watch herself on the soccer field and around the school. I'd hate to see her have what happened to Nancy Kerrigan happen to her." Once back inside, I checked my recording and got everything on audio. So if she, her daughter, or anyone tries doing anything to my daughter, I have evidence she was behind it. Thank you everyone for your concerns. The police and principal are informed of both the cheerleader and her mom. The police have said they'll deal with the mom. My daughter is getting a dash cam for her car as we speak. For one who asked how I know word for word how the conversation went between my daughter and the cheerleader. My daughter told me everything. So don't be thinking rude things of how I know how it happened. Also again, the police and the principal have been informed. So please stop posting. Get them involved. They already are involved. I've told them everything that happened. Comments. Commenter 1. Good on your daughter for standing her ground and handling it calmly. Sounds like the principal set the record straight too. Commenter 2. I had my 2 back tires popped while at school one day because my boyfriend at the time had a side piece who was popular and high up in the socials status chain while I was far from the top but not at the very bottom either, and she hated the fact that she couldn't get a rise out of me, even though I knew what was going on. So she had someone pop my tires. It's insane what entitlement makes people do. Reply. It's definitely insane. I agree, and I hope little Miss Cheerleader doesn't try popping my daughter's tires, because I'm told there's a security camera in the parking lot. So if she or anyone tries anything, they'll get caught on camera. Reply. Commenter 2. She and my boyfriend got busted a week later with weed. This was in Kansas, so karma got them for me. LOL. Tell your daughter to always hold her ground against people like Miss Cheerleader. Those types of people need to learn. They aren't God's gift. Reply. No need to tell her, she knows to hold her ground, and when she does, she'll say a Star Wars line of, "I have the high ground." Stories number 16. My wife secretly spent the night at her ex's place. She swears nothing happened, but I feel betrayed. AIO, I'm 27 mem in a real fight with my wife 29F. I'm at a loss here and need an outside perspective. For context, we've been together for about 5 years, married for 2. She's my partner in every sense of the word. She has a child 8F, and we created our own little family. I'm not the bio dad, but I love her like my own. My wife and I usually can communicate through issues except for her ex 29M. He's our constant fight. I respect him as the father, but we never had an easy dynamic. He ignores boundaries and treats fatherhood like a game. Child support? He hasn't heard of it. My wife and her ex were high school sweethearts. Co-parenting isn't my issue. It's the fact he still acts like he has some claim on my wife. Our family was set to spend Labor Day weekend with my parents for this special anniversary occasion. These plans were solidified months in advance, last minute. My wife's ex begged to have their daughter for Labor Day. She ended up agreeing and backing out of our plans so she could attend with the daughter. I didn't like it, but there wasn't anything I could do. I didn't have much say. My wife invited me, but I chose to keep my engagement with my parents. It wasn't a rain check scenario. It was difficult to reach my wife the whole weekend. She was dodgy and left me on red a lot. I returned to an empty home. I called my wife and overheard her ex in The background with their daughter. Turns out my wife spent the night at his place. She said it wasn't planned, that she was too tired to drive after the celebration, and her ex offered her to stay the night. Gil, I was upset. She asked to discuss it later. She didn't think it was best to discuss it in front of the daughter. She pretty much hung up on me when we did talk again. We had a bad fight. I felt every boundary we established was broken. Her ex never respected our relationship. They have a child together, yes, but that doesn't warrant her spending the night with him. I'm sick of her ex pushing boundaries. My wife swears nothing happened. They hung out with their daughter all night, and then he offered her his bed while he took the couch. I told her he set the scene for something to happen, and for all I know, she shared a bed with him. I asked how she'd feel if I spent the night with an ex. She admitted she wouldn't like it, but doesn't believe it's a fair comparison. She feels the circumstances are different. She said she loves me and respects our marriage, and I should trust her not to cross a line. I told her it has nothing to do with trust, and everything to do with her constant enabling of her ex. She doesn't choose me in the same way she keeps choosing him. She didn't care for that comparison. She said nothing happened. She was done talking about it, and then left the room. That's what she always does. She doesn't like something said, and then storms out, declaring, she's not talking about it anymore. We're left at an impasse. I feel her ex doesn't respect our relationship and oversteps boundaries. My wife feels I'm too biased to see anything clearly past her ex. This is the most at odds we've ever been in our relationship. Communication isn't prevailing. I'm in love with my wife. I love her daughter. I don't take for granted the life we've built. But I'm struggling to trust my wife now. Comments. Commenter. 1. You are really buying into her narrative of being innocent in all of this, while putting the blame on the ex for crossing the line. I don't want to assume anything happened between them or physically, but it doesn't look good, and is a very real possibility. Regardless, you seem to understand your wife is prioritizing him over you, and not in a subtle way. Canceling last minute on holiday anniversary plans you had for a long time to spend time with the ex. The lack of responsiveness, and the fact she spent the night at his house are all massive red flags. It sounds like you allow her to gaslight you into thinking, this is no big deal, and it's just your own problem with bias against the ex. Nobody would be okay with this, including her if the situation was flipped. Maybe if you had a good relationship with the ex, and he had a history of respecting boundaries, and your relationship, but it sounds like it's the exact opposite. Your wife cannot just walk away from this conversation. It's way too important to you and your future together. That is just another red flag. It's a tough situation that requires a very tough conversation, and if she's not willing to put in the work after you have stepped up to support her child, it just seems like a very unfair and imbalanced relationship that leaves your needs in the back seat. Good luck to you, sir. I hope for the best. Commenter. 2. Nor Uber, Lyft even to a closed motel. No call to tell you what's up. Ask for a ride to be set up if money was an issue, or ask if you could come pick her up. Why leave you to go spend Labor Day with her ex? Could she not have dropped the kid off? Why isn't she asking her ex to respect boundaries more? It seems so sketchy to me that the ex asked for the kid, and she left her husband in the dust. Even if they didn't sleep together, she doesn't respect your boundaries, let alone would ever expect the ex to. I have so many questions and I wouldn't be able to just shove this under the rug. Commenter. 3. You're not overreacting. She canceled solidified plans and bailed last minute for her ex. She then spent the night at his house. She refused to discuss it more. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. She's shown you that she will pick you last every time. It honest divorce over this, and I'm usually one for working things out. The odds of her actually having shared that bed with him is extremely high. The circumstances aren't actually different, but she knows in her mind they are the same, but admitting that would be admitting that she cheated. Stories number 17. My BF 24M slipped and accidentally told me. He got me 19F pregnant on purpose. He says I misunderstood, but I can't let it go. Where do I go from here? I'm still a mess about all of this. Sorry for posting it here, throwaway, because he knows my other account, my BF, and I have been together for about 5 years. We had talked about kids before. We both want them, at least I think I do, I just don't want them now. He thinks differently about that but said he respected my decision to wait. We found out I'm pregnant about 6 weeks ago. It was very unexpected and I was incredibly upset I don't take the pill because it caused a lot of issues for me. But we always used condoms, I just assumed it must have failed. We spoke about it a lot and decided to go for it. In his words, it must have meant to happen. I'm still trying to make peace with this pregnancy, and am often emotional about it. A few days ago I was having a particularly rough day with morning sickness and couldn't stop crying, and he lost his patience and said something like, "If I had known you'd be like this, I never would have gotten you pregnant." I think he realized he messed up because he corrected himself and apologized, saying he didn't mean it that way. But it still doesn't sit right with me. He's also been incredibly sweet since then. But it feels like he's trying to distract me. Or I'm losing my mind and not appreciating the sweet things my BF is doing. I honestly don't know anymore. Do I keep pushing this? Do I just let it go and accept the situation for what it is? Any advice would be appreciated. Comments. Commenter 1 IDK where you live or how far along you are. But if aborting is still an option, it's one to consider. You're not stupid. You know what he said and what he's doing to distract you. You know the sweetness is fake. The mask slipped, and he showed you who he is. Ask yourself if you want the next 9 months with someone who'd snap at you about a very normal reaction to an unwanted pregnancy. Ask yourself if you want to raise a kid and stay forever with someone who would violate you and then make light of it when he's annoyed. You have the rest of your life ahead of you. Don't let him ruin it. Reply, I needed this, thanks. My gut is telling me something is not right here, but I keep doubting myself, like I'm just being dramatic. Unfortunately, where I live, abortion is not legal. Commenter 2. Say it with me now. Grooming a 23-year-old pursuing a 17-year-old is not okay. You were groomed, and groomers always push for more and more control and manipulation. Getting you pregnant on purpose is the ultimate attempt at asserting control over you. Edit. I'm sorry. My BF saw your messages and really appreciates your concern. But we're fine. We decided to go for it and are very excited to become parents. I was just being emotional and should have spoken to him instead of going to Reddit. It's on me that I misunderstood him. I'm very lucky to have him. Thank you for everything. I'm so sorry. Comments. Commenter 1. Is anyone else concerned with the edit? WTF. Commenter 2. He clearly either dictated the edit or posted it himself. It's very concerning. He now has her believing that she misunderstood him. Okay, but he was still horrible to her when she was sick. Was that a misunderstanding too? I'm very lucky to have him. Commenter 3. This edit is the scariest thing I have read in a long time. Update. Someone told me I should update here. I hope it's okay that I do and that I keep it short and sweet. I got so many replies and PMs that I'm finally reading, and I don't even know what to say. Things got really bad, especially after he saw my post account, but I'm away from him. Now people who I didn't expect would be on my side have been a godsend and helped me out so much. They got me out when things were really awful, and I couldn't be more grateful. I'm still pregnant, which isn't what I wanted, but it is what it is. At this point I'm sorry, but I'm feeling a lot safer and am figuring out what to do. I also get the feeling he's kinda losing interest in this baby, now that he's starting to realize we won't be a family together. But we'll see, I guess. So many people, women messaged me offering me, a stranger, help, like to take me in, fly me out, send me things and so on. Thank you for everything. Really, I wish I could do more to repay your kindness. But I hope these people and the ones who took the time to reply at least see this and know how much they mean to me. Thank you so much. Comments. Commenter. Did your boyfriend stand over your shoulder as you edited the original? Or did he do it himself? The edited original was disturbing to read. If he is losing interest in the baby, good. I'm normally all about court-ordered visitation, custody, and child support to keep everyone honest and active. But those same documents with someone like him will culminate in him using your child to try to indirectly control you. Helen Destroy is 100% correct. Reply. I wrote a first draft. He made some changes. He never got aggressive. He was just so emotionally distraught with me. I had to somehow make it right. I didn't realize then how bad it all was, commenter 2. If you're away from him, that means he knows your login information. To make changes. Girl, what are you doing? Change all of your passwords ASAP. Why do you seem so casual about him making changes to your story? Reply. He doesn't have my login information. At least I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I'm sorry I didn't explain it clearly. I made the edit of my first post with him watching. He made some changes on my phone. He hasn't done anything to this one. Commenter 3. He's kinda losing interest in this baby. Now that he's starting to realize we won't be a family together, I won't be under his control. Fix that for you. Good job on getting out. Please don't go back. Commenter 4. Once the baby is born, he'll use custody, visitation, as a means of control. I don't think OP is even close to being out of the woods here. Commenter 5. Not saying it's easy, but adoption might be a good option to get OP off their abuser's radar, since they also say they don't want to have a baby. Unfortunately, still have to have the baby. But adoption by loving parents is much better than being raised by a resentful parent. Commenter 6 big hugs. I'm proud of you, and sorry for what you've been through. How far along are you? Reply. 15-ish weeks now. Thank you for your kindness. Commenter 7. I think we all just let out a collective sigh of relief. Thank God. Stories number 18. Free breakfast for a limited time this morning. For loud hotel neighbors. A few weeks ago, our family was staying at a hotel resort for a relaxing weekend. Unfortunately, we got roomed underneath a herd of buffalo, or a family of 6. I couldn't tell which, as we put our kids to bed. We hushed them and reminded them we were in a hotel with other guests, so we could be as courteous as possible. Not the buffalo family above us. For hours into the night, until well after midnight, they were banging and slamming things in the room above. And while I can sleep through almost anything, and the kids were exhausted and asleep, I knew it was steaming my wife. And that was making me more and more angry. Unhappy wife, unhappy life. Anyway, we all managed to finally fall asleep. However, my superpower is needing little sleep. I get up every day at 5:00 a.m. without an alarm clock. Sure enough, the next morning, a few 4 hours later, I woke up like clockwork, and instantly I had my revenge, going down to the elevator core. I located a house phone and dialed their room. 6 and the room number. The room directly above ours. It rang 5 or 6 times with no answer. I hung up, and was feeling a little guilty and about to give up, when I remembered I wasn't getting laid today because of these clowns. Said, fuck it, and rang back again. This time, a groggy female answered the phone. Like barely. Hello? She croaked into the phone. In my most chipper voice, I said, Good morning. This is the front desk with your morning wake-up call. Are you awake? I hear confusion on the other end. We have a special thank you gift for families staying with us today. Free breakfast buffet and admission to the water park today. However, it is first come, first served, and you and your guests must claim your award at the front desk in the next 30 minutes. More confusion, and I thank her and hang up. Next, I camped out in the lobby to wait and see what happened. Sure enough, about 20 minutes later, a train of groggy, half-dressed family members come down to the front desk, looking annoyed, sleepy, and did I see hope their eyes. As soon as they hit the front desk, it got heated. The mom demanding to see the on-duty manager, and the manager trying to explain they didn't call and don't offer that. It must have taken 5 minutes for them to figure out it was a prank, and sulk back to their room. I left, and went to get some coffee and enjoyed the rest of my morning comments. Commenter 1. That was great, but I pity whoever was at the reception desk. Reply. Yay, I did feel a bit bad about that poor night manager's morning at that point. Admittedly, my estimation of blast radius was bit off at that moment. Commenter 2 + 1 for making the entire room get dressed. Way earlier than they would normally. 25 for involving the hotel staff in this little revenge. Like, they need more shitty guest experiences. Reply. I agree and accept this judgment. My estimation of blast radius was slightly miscalibrated at 5:15 a.m. and 4h sleep. No excuse, but true. I also did not account for the fact all their activity also woke up my family, who does not get up at 5 a.m. like I do. Commenter 3. They let it go. I've worked hotels and seen the front desk. Just ignore noise complaints cause they don't want to be yelled at. So, they leave it up to the paying customers to handle it SMH. Not all hotels, but there are plenty where the clerk is there, just to get a check and could care less if you can't sleep or not. Cause they checked a party in Stories, number 19. My 35F husband. 30 ma'am literally moved me out of someone's way at the grocery store. 35F 30 mare together, 12 years. I have a reoccurring issue with my husband. Ultimately, it makes me feel like he puts everyone, including strangers, ahead of me. A little background. No kids, but it would be nice. We both work full-time and he is in the process of getting his bachelor's degree. We get along and definitely love each other. I consider my husband to be a fairly selfless person. In that, I mean he will go without to give others what they need. I love him for this, but it comes with a caveat. It seems to me that he views me as an extension of himself. So when he puts others ahead of himself, that includes ahead of me as well, I will provide a few examples that will ultimately lead up to the one named in the title. We used to share a vehicle that meant we had to ride to work together. Luckily, we worked relatively close to one another, at least half a dozen times. I was left to sit waiting in the car for anywhere from 1 to 3 hours as he stayed to work overtime. He is salary and is not in a leadership role, nor is he getting paid for this time. He says they need him. I sit in the car and wait, sometimes canceling previous plans we had. I recently went through a medical procedure that was not covered by my insurance, but was needed. I ended up pulling money from my 401k to cover the costs. There was no mention of desire to help from my husband, and he knew I was drawing from my 401k to cover the costs. That's fine, I work, and it was my choice to move forward with the procedure. But recently a friend of ours mentioned they required the same procedure, and were saving up the money to get it done. Right away my husband pulled me aside and said that we should help them financially and partially fund their procedure. Between work and school, we said he is too busy to help me take care of some badly needed repairs on our home before the snow hits. Then says he is thinking about taking the day off of work to help his brother move. His brother has numerous people who can and would help lastly, and the one that hurts the most if we are in public, grocery store, restaurant, etc., and someone is walking by us in an aisle or is occupying a similar space, my husband will literally move me out of their way. Sometimes push me into a corner. Even I don't mean I am standing where they need to shop or anything. Like that, he is being polite to strangers and making sure they have enough room. These are just a few small examples I could go on. But this is already quite long. I really just need to know if my feelings are valid, or if I am viewing this through a skewed lens. I am genuinely hurt here and can't figure out how to move forward. I have spoken to him about this before, but it has not improved. I have requested counseling, but he refuses. What can I do to improve this dynamic? Comments. Commenter. 1. I stopped reading at him not wanting to pay for your medical procedure, but he'll pay for a friend. That's just so beyond bizarre that I don't need to read anything else. He's refusing to get therapy because he knows the therapist will tell him. He is wrong. Reply. I think it's more that he knows I will take care of it myself by whatever means I need to. Hence the withdrawal. I think it's hard to feel like it's balanced, though. He loves golf. I buy him new golf clubs. He has a PS5 but wants a PS5 Pro. We buy that PlayStation VR, new laptop. The list goes on. But if there is something I want or need, it's a negotiation or discussion or a maybe one day or we will see. He does earn more than me, but not by a lot, and we contribute equally. Commenter. 2. My ex was what I call a social hero, won't do for his wife or kids, but will be the first to offer to help someone else, especially in a public setting. Caveat is that he rarely follows through. If he does, it's because I reminded him countless times, or I did the deed myself. Some people need so many accolades. From others they'll lie, cheat, and steal to get them, which is kinda missing the point of the good guy image they're trying to portray. It's gross behavior. OP, your husband needs a wake-up call. See if he can get to the bottom of his reasonings for wanting to help others so much that he disrespects his wife. Commenter 3. First of all, you are absolutely not overreacting, and this is bizarrely inconsiderate behavior. Your husband isn't treating you like an extension of himself. He's treating you like an acquaintance he doesn't like. The grocery store example is embarrassing, but the example of refusing to help you pay for a medical procedure and offering the money to a friend instead would have me contemplating the future of my marriage. How does he explain this? Have you talked to him about it? Reply, I have tried. To talk to him, I wish I had a different way to express it, as he doesn't seem to understand how much it hurts me. Commenter 4OP. These small things are a reflection of a greater issue. If, let's say, every time you went to the pool, your husband was constantly trying to cover you up, saying that you're not bathing suit ready. That's not just him helping you, it's a sign. He's embarrassed of you and your body. Your husband is doing all of these things because you're not important in his mind. The whole world is more important and more deserving of empathy than you. If he was open to therapy, seeing this as a major issue, you might be able to stay in this marriage. Although, I don't think you'd want to be with a man who had to be taught to value you. If I were in your shoes, I would leave. I would see this for what it is. And I'd go out and find a man who would never even imagine treating you this way. I feel like you're not going to. I feel like you're going to keep focusing on these little things because he has so many other great qualities. Nectar. But don't imagine how bad this will get if you have kids. Imagine how bad this will get when you're old and have medical issues. You're going to regret staying with this man. Reply. This comment broke me. I am in tears. It hit very deep. Thank you for your honesty. I need to go look in the mirror and really think about things. Stories number 20. ITA for giving gifts to my son's half-siblings when I go to see my son, even if they are not my kids. I am 32M, and 8 years ago, from a short fling, I have a son. My son's mother was a single mother of 2 at the time, and has had 1 more kid after then. My son is 7. It was a messy ordeal at first, and I was convinced he wasn't my kid, but DNA test, yada yada, and it was proved he was my kid. She didn't sue me for child support, as she didn't have the funds, but I was not gonna let my son grow up without money. So we have an agreement. I pay her around 3 to 4K a month. I work sales and get a bonus yearly, so I pay more during the holiday season, and I make mid 100K range, so it is more than what the court would have ordered. But I want to be fair. She has said sometimes she uses my money on her other kids, and that is whatever. All this to say, I think I am pretty fair. Whenever I go bring a meal to my kid, or give him a console Switch 2 recently, I tell him to share it with his siblings, or I bring them a meal too so they can all eat together. I even give them all presents for their B-Day, so they don't feel left out when I only give presents to my kid. I'm not a holier-than-thou guy. I just want him to have a good relationship with his siblings. And if money and gifts allow that, I am okay with it. Last thing I want is his siblings to resent him for favoritism. Once his mom and I are gone, they will be his only family, which is why I treat them well, and even let my money being used for his other siblings slide. His sister has a father who tries his best. I will call him Mark, 36. Recently, he reached out to me and said, when I bring gifts for my son, he would prefer it if my son did not share them, and if I could stop giving gifts to his daughter. So apparently, his daughter 13 is now comparing him to me, and is saying that I give her better gifts or whatever, and see them more. She apparently said she wishes I was her dad. I told Mark that I will see what I can do, but now I feel kinda bad. Mark is the only other father who is genuinely trying, from what I can tell, and maybe I set the standards too high. My son's mother made the mistake of telling his daughter that I also fund some of their lifestyle. Since I pay the most in child support, I feel bad about all this. The girl seemed kinda sweet, so I am surprised she would say things like this to her dad. She helps my son with his HW, and is a good older sister to him, so I feel like I have been treating her as she treats my kid. Nothing more, nothing less. IDK why my son's mother brought financial information to her kids, and now IDK what to do about Mark. I don't want to change how I treat my son's siblings, because I don't want him to have a bad relationship with them. My parents treated my younger brother better than me, and I have a not-so-great relationship with him now. 'Cause of that, and I just don't want the same for my kids, so Aita for going above and beyond, just for the sake of my son being treated better by his siblings at the cost of Mark and his daughter's relationship. Edit. Seeing comments about making a trust fund and college stuff for my son, just wanted to put this out there. I also made a comment explaining he does have a trust and a 529 plan. His mother is not aware of these, but he does have these. And money is going here aside from the money I give her. I was helped through college by my folks, and I plan on doing the same for him. Also, I own the apartment I live in, and he will be receiving it. He has also included my parents' will as well, with a separate trust they have given him, in which I will be the guarantor until he is 25 relevant. Comments, Commenter 1, NTA I think. It's lovely that you include the other kids. Perhaps tone down what you spend on all of them, take the excess you would have spent, and put it in a trust fund for your son. This way you are still gifting your son, but the ones everyone else sees is more in line with someone who has a smaller income. The rest is going to a trust for his future, something he will very much appreciate in a few years, and possibly his whole life. Also still buy for the other kids, but make things less expensive. You're doing enough, giving in her so much every month, as that really helps her keep a good roof over all their heads in a safe neighborhood. Reply, thank you. I will take it into consideration. My son does already have a trust, and the money I give his mother is not included in that. He has a trust and a 529 plan, separate from the money I give. I just haven't told his mother yet, because to be very frank, I believe if she knew I was putting money in there, she would ask for more monthly, and that may take me over my monthly limit. I also want to start my own business, so I have been trying to put money aside for that as well, and I know it seems unrealistic, but I want to do everything without compromising on anything for now. But we will see. Commenter 2, NTA. But I do think it's insane you're paying her that much in child support. My ex makes multiples of what you make and pays half that, and I have primary custody. It is wonderful that you are taking care of your child, but it isn't your job to buy groceries for the whole house, and your ex didn't need a lawyer to take you or her other baby daddies to court. She can file herself and hold each of them accountable. If you want to be there for your kid and not create these imbalances, I suggest paying child support according to the state guidelines and then taking on a larger percentage of the split for other things like medical and extracurricular, etc. Then with the leftover money, I would start a 529 account for your son to pay for college, so he isn't left with loans, or start a separate trust fund for him, so that he can buy a house and start a business as a young adult. Reply, I made an edit about the 529 and trust comments. He is fine in that aspect. I can afford to pay her this much for now, which is why I am doing it. I own the place I live in right now, so I don't pay rent. And the income I listed is only from my job. I have other income streams, real estate, and ETFs mostly. So I think it will be fine. Granted, it's nowhere as much as my salary, but I have more than enough to get by. I have more money, it's just not liquid. My son's mother is quite literally unable to hold down a job. I made a mistake having my son with her. But now that my son is here, I can't let that be an excuse when I'm able to afford to give them that much. I love my kid. I do not regret my son at all. If I let her take me to court, our custody agreement right now is not set in stone, and my son spends some time over the summer and holidays at my house, or with my folks. I am not going to risk anything. I don't complain about his mother to him, ever, but she can be really vindictive. If her needs are not met, I reap what I sow. And if putting up with her until my kid is 18 is the best thing for him, I will do what I need to do. The way I see it, this is the price I pay for not thinking about the consequences of my actions. Commenter 3. Respectfully, you need a lawyer and to pursue custody based off of what you just said here. Why are you letting someone incapable of holding a job and who is vindictive, who is using you for money, have primary custody of your kid? Why haven't you fought for 50-50 at the minimum? She has no money, no job, 4 kids by 3 different fathers, and you have suitable housing, reliable income, and seem to have a decent head on your shoulders. You could easily win primary custody, and at a minimum would be granted 50-50. At this point, I'd have to say you are an AH for not fighting for custody of your kid, and instead just throwing money at the situation. Lawyer, now reply. She is vindictive to me and her partners, but she is a great mother to her kids. I cannot deny that I get what you are saying, but if push ever came to shove, my kid would choose his mom over me. All the kids love her. They give her a Hard time, but they love her. She makes them handmade gifts from scratch for their birthday, takes time to know each kid's strengths, weaknesses, and makes sure they get what they need to pursue their strengths, etc. My son has an older brother with a deadbeat father, but the kid is pretty good at tennis, and she will argue with the deadbeat and threaten him and make sure her kid has enough money to practice tennis. And he is a state-level player. My own son was bullied in school and decided to hit his bully, and got in trouble. She believed him and went down there and sorted it out. She could have easily just accepted something and left it, like my folks did to me growing up. But she fought for my son, 'cause she believed him and wanted to do right by him. She is a lift the car to save. My kid woman, I agree she has her flaws, and I hate the way she treats me. She can't hold down a job, and yeah, maybe I could win a custody case, after a lot of time, stress, and effort. But, despite how much I can't stand her, she is a good mother, and I can recognize that I just gotta put up with her until my kid is 18. And then my kid and I can have a separate relationship, and he can have a separate relationship with his mother. It would have been easier for me legally and morally if she was a terrible mom. But thankfully, for my son's sake at least, she is a good, maybe even fantastic, mother. Top comments. Commenter 1. NTA, but Mark has a valid complaint. Can you work with him? Find a middle ground where he feels comfortable? You've explained yourself well here, so you could do the same with Mark. I'm sure his daughter's words stabbed him through the heart. The AH here is your ex. She needs to be held accountable for the harm she's done by running her mouth about money to her children. You have a ton of leverage here. Use it for the greater good and make her clean up her mess. This is a great spot for you and Mark to stand united, for the good of all the children. Edited to add, perhaps lean into experiences over gifts with the other children. I'm thinking a double the dad's day, where you and Mark take all the kids to dinner and a movie, skating, paintball, whatever you can come up with. Kids really want your time more than anything else. I was hurt as a child by the attention given my stepsister after my father remarried. It came from her grandparents, but my father ignored it. And though I'm 65 now, it's still one of my most painful memories. You are a good man for doing what you're doing. A bit of a tweak can really turn this situation from a mild negative to a resounding positive for all concerned. Commenter 2. Yeah, I feel a parent meeting is order between Mark, up, and Mom. To get to the bottom of this, what OP is doing is amazing, and will ensure all those kids prosper, and Mom needs to be reminded to not bite. The hand that feeds Mark is in a lose-lose of Mom is yapping constantly, which will put strain on a family, and in turn, cause problems for Ops Kid. Commenter 3. I really commend you for your actions and the reasons for them. Mark needs to understand cutting off your generosity at this point will only damage their relationship. He may not be able to match your financial contributions, but he can certainly put as much time and effort into connecting with his daughter, in person or not. He should be thankful for your subsidies. Keep up the great work. Dad. NTA. Commenter 4. I came to say the same thing. Mark can give her gift. That really means something, and that is his time that he actively engaging with her and doing things. Gifts are fine and dandy, but many people remember places, moments, ritual activities, etc. that we did with a person. The switches and gifts will fade, and OP will be the person that added positive things to the kids' lives. Mark can enrich his daughter's life with him being present. I do hope OP understand this too, and takes his son out one-to-one for boating time too. Commenter 5. NTA. But Mark is a bit misguided though. Well-intentioned. It's obvious you both care about all the children, perhaps obviously giving preference to yours. I'd recommend talking to him, your ex, and coming to an agreement and talking all of you to his daughter. You can even take an activity, all of you together. In a way, it seems he needs help being closer, but the sort of guy that would be rather proud to openly ask. It is an odd family arrangement. But at the end of the day, the children are what matters. I am in a similar situation. I have 2 children, and the moms have another child each, and I try to keep all of them in consideration. Update post, picking up where I left off, as everyone suggested. I had a face-to-face with Mark. I told him that our kids are really gonna only have each other once, all of us, and their mother passes away, and while I understand where he was coming from, I felt it unwise. Mark agreed and confessed that he made that initial call to me in a fit of anger, hurt at his own daughter and their mother. I actually respect Mark a lot. The dude is a former gangbanger turned around and found God recently and opened his own hardware repair store. It's just, as with any new business, he was struggling since it had only been 17 or so months since he opened his store. So he scaled back the money he was giving their mother, and she took it out on him by telling his daughter our financial information. He apologized for being out of line and offered to pay for the meal, and I took him up on that. He said he would have a word with his daughter about respect, and asked me if I could tell their mother to not divulge finances and put pressure on her. He also said he always appreciated that I treated the kids similarly, and asked if I would be okay if he did like mini circuits and other small electronics projects with my kid. Since the last time he visited his daughter and bought her a circuit set, my son seemed to like it. I know jack shit about hardware, and it's probably a good skill to have, so I am happy someone can teach him. I guess it's his way of returning the gesture. So, after that conversational little over 2 weeks ago, I went to their house, spent the usual time with my son. My son loves a Chick-fil-A, got them all Chick-fil-A. Afterwards, I pulled their mother aside and told her everything essentially. As usual, anytime I try to have a conversation with her, it resulted in her yelling and throwing shit at me. She said I did not have a right to dictate what I could and could not tell her daughter, who wasn't even my kid. I tried arguing that finances that are related to me should be private, out of respect for me, but she didn't budge. Everything with her either blows up into an argument, or she tries to offer something else to pacify me. I was really exhausted that day, so nothing came of trying to talk to her. I just told her she shouldn't expect support if she can't respect my boundaries. But she mocked me, saying stuff like, "I know how to get you to pay. Don't even try." I reconvened with Mark over the phone, explained what happened, and politely told him I tried my best. He thanked me for trying and said he would have his own talk with her. Stories number 21. How do I avoid feeling jaded about the fact that my desirability to women has almost directly correlated with my increased socioeconomic status? When I was in high school and college, I had fairly limited success with women. I had short-term relationships here and there, but for the most part, I essentially felt invisible to most women, as many younger men do when I progressed to medical school. Women were treating me similarly to how they had before, but I found that when they learned what I was studying and the career I was moving towards, that would often flick a switch and instantaneously generate some degree of interest that had not previously been there. This pattern essentially continued. The more I progressed through my education and medical training, and the closer I got to the finish line, the more interest and attention I seemed to get from women. To give an example, when I was in college, I remember downloading dating apps like Tinder, and I was lucky if I got 1 to 5 matches per month. Whereas when I was a resident, and I could stick physician on my profile, it was closer to 5 to 10 per day. Some people may say, well, what's the problem? Women are attracted to security and competence, and you've demonstrated that through your professional success. I get that, but I still can't help but feel somewhat jaded about the fact that I wasn't enough before I don't feel that my personality or physical appearance has changed much at all. In fact, if anything, the long hours of residency have probably beaten a lot of life out of me. So the only variable that can be at play here is increased socioeconomic status. Sometimes I read anecdotes from people who've undergone enormous transformations in their physical appearance. For example, someone who's lost a lot of weight, or had surgery to correct a facial flaw, and they report feeling bitter about the fact that there's an almost immediate change in how people around you treat you. To some degree, I feel similarly. It's like a slap in the face and glaring reminder of how superficial and transactional most human relationships are. Some guys seem to have absolutely no qualms whatsoever about the idea of a woman being with them because of the standard of living that they can provide for her. But I've always felt uncomfortable with those sorts of dynamics. I'm starting to question whether the conception of love and romantic relationships that I grew up with is ultimately naive. Maybe male-female dynamics at their core are not about loving someone for who they are, but rather what the other person can do for you. Has anyone else gone through a similar trajectory in their dating and romantic life? How did you avoid feeling bitter? I know from experience that trying to date when you are feeling cynical is a terrible idea, so I would like to try and reach some degree of resolution when it comes to these thoughts. Comments. Commenter 1. Looks, status and charisma are the main pillars of attraction for women. Maximizing one gets you attention, having two sets you for options, and all three is everything you ever wanted or didn't. The same level of jadedness is the same as women glowing up. However, you are linking your sense of self-worth to if you can or can't attract women. This is what's making you feel empty. Once you understand that attracting women is auxiliary and not the main purpose of your existence, you will make peace with it. Commenter 2. To be fair, aren't we more attracted to slender women after they've lost weight? Or women who tone up and get a nicer butt? Many men say they don't like implants but might look twice at a woman with well-shaped implants, unbeknownst to them. I think there's a difference between a gold digger, materialistic whore versus a woman who wants more stability and values ambition. You can easily find out who just wants you to buy them. Endless stuff. I had this discussion with a male friend who is concerned about women wanting him partially because of his financial success. I asked whether he would date an ugly or fat woman. If not, shouldn't women he pursued feel that he doesn't like them for their true self? Stories. Number 22. Coworker thinks it's my responsibility to buy coffee for the office, even though we're supplied it for free. I love coffee and drink it every day at work. My job supplies us with ground coffee. That's definitely not gourmet, but it gets the job done. 3 times in 6 months. I've brought in better ground coffee and shared it with my coworkers by brewing a whole pot. I also brought in a couple of creamers to use instead of the supplied half, and one coworker in particular latched onto this and now asks me every time I brew a pot if it's our company's coffee or my own. When I say it's the company's, she scoffs but still drinks it. At least once a week she asks me if I brought coffee, when the last time was at least 2 months ago. Several times I've tried to nicely tell her that those were one-off times, and she seems to understand but then will still ask me. The next time she sees me, today, she asked yet again, and said at the end, "Oh, you must not have gotten your raise since you don't bring coffee in anymore." TBH, I saw red, and wanted to ask her why she was projecting her broke-assness onto me, since clearly she hasn't gotten any raises if she depends on me for coffee. Instead, I asked her why I would supply coffee for the office when we already have it for free. She started stammering about a coffee fund we could make, but honestly I wasn't interested. If I had known I'd be hounded about it until the rest of my days, I never would have brought any in. Stories number 23. My fiancé's niece asked him why he is marrying the witch from Snow White. I attended my mother-in-law's birthday with my fiancé. We met his brother and her little daughter 4 years. Hadn't seen her in several months, but Elle thought we had a good relationship. I usually scare off children at the beginning, but I am good with them, and I have taken care of her many times before, when my brother-in-law and his wife were working some time for themselves. When she saw me, she stared at me, and then asked my fiancé, why was he marrying the witch from Snow White? Her parents only let her watch cartoons, so I know she referred to the witch of the old Disney movie as a person who has been bullied because of her nose during all her life. It stung. Even if it came from a kid, I can't stop thinking about how she may have heard it from her parents. When things like that happen to me, I think I should stay at home because I seem to be too ugly for being in public. I have been feeling terribly ugly, and now I feel like all the therapy I have done, it's pointless. Also, I have decided that I'm not babysitting this kid ever again. She probably heard it from her parents, and I'm not helping people who laughs at me. Stories number 24. My bridesmaid is transgender and my family is pissed. Reload and update. I-24F originally came here asking for advice on how to deal with my family being transphobic toward my bridesmaid. Let's say Anna, my mom, told me Anna shouldn't be in the wedding party and that she should wear men's clothing. She claimed Anna would take away from my day, that people would only be focused on a drag queen, and that in 20 years all I'd remember from my wedding would be that, at the time, my wedding was just 18 days away when she called me about this. I posted an update saying that I didn't want to kick my mom out of the wedding, but I also wasn't going to tolerate negativity toward Anna. Many of you suggested I talk with my mom. When I did, she accused me of putting Anna above her. She even said she should have known I'd put everyone above her because she's such a horrible mom. She then called my dad crying. He told me, "It's your wedding. Do whatever you want. Just know you're going to make 90% of the family uncomfortable." I texted him back. Well, people are going to have to learn to exist where other people exist, and that's okay. Why 90% of my guests wouldn't like it is a wild assumption. A lot of people have met Anna and like her. Maybe if you guys actually talked to her, you'd like her too. He said that it was my wedding, my choice, and whatever. I then asked this sub how to handle things if my mom and stepdad talked crap about Anna at the wedding. I didn't want to kick them out, but I also wasn't going to tolerate it. Someone suggested having a few friends keep an eye and ear out for Anna, and that's what I plan on doing. I deleted my post because I didn't want Anna to see it and want to change why I'm reposting Anna, and I talked. At first, she said she didn't mind changing, just like I thought she would, but I immediately said, "No, absolutely not." I also told her I had posted about the situation on Reddit, but then deleted it. She got upset and said, "Dude, why'd you delete it? I want that shit to go viral and for Charlotte Dobra to make a video on it." So here I am, reposting, both to update everyone and because Anna wanted me to. So yes, Anna is still a bridesmaid, and we have friends keeping eyes and ears open to make sure she isn't talked about badly. Anna said she's going to be so overly nice to my mom that it completely throws her off. The wedding is 16 more days, and I'll update again afterward for those who are interested. Stories number 25. Sister wanted waiting on when visiting my newborn. About 15 years ago, my first son was born. At the time, I was in the military stationed a long way from my family. I returned from deployment very shortly before he was born by cesarean section due to complications, so my wife was unable to do much at all. As to that, I was struggling following returning to normality. So all in all, we were incredibly happy but really struggling. About 2 weeks after he was born, my parents, sister, and nephew 4 came to visit, staying in a local hotel. As soon as she arrived, my sister started making demands. Tea, food, entertain her son all, whilst she sat reading magazines, watching TV at Cat First. I tried to be nice, but the final straw came when my son was crying to be fed. My wife was trying to get the bottle, whilst I tried to soothe my son until his bottle was ready. My sister said, "Can you sort that in a minute? Nephew needs a drink." My parents didn't say a word. Didn't offer to help at all. I lost my shit entirely, and threw everyone out. We don't really have a close relationship to this day. Stories number 26. HOA is asking us not to be with our kids at the bus stop. Yup. Read that right. Our neighborhood has a designated area that bus picks up the kids at. Some people park their cars down the street and wait for the bus. Some people just let their kids stand there, and others stand there with their kids. The HOA sent a letter that no parents are to be waiting at the stop. No matter it be standing or parked, we don't want adults loitering at the bus stop. This is due to people complaining that it's uncomfortable having people outside their homes blocking their mailbox, and the residents have had trouble with some of the children. They followed it up with, "Our neighborhood is safe. You should feel safe leaving your kids at the bus stop." I decided to post a couple things that clarify some things, and the HOA wasn't too happy. First, the stop is outside my house and I haven't complained. And if I did, less supervision would mean more problems with the children. Second was clarifying exactly our neighborhood's safety. Across the street was a 6-hour armed standoff that resulted in him only being under house arrest, so he's still around. We have 3 registered sex offenders. And what's this? The HOA president himself was fired for allegations of 27 different sexual crimes against minors, 3 of which were family members. I clarified it was back in the 1990s and he never served time, but it's still ironic he's telling us we should feel safe. I ended with the post on, if they push the issue, all parents are invited to my house during drop-off and pick-up times. This changes nothing about their behavior, but they're considered guests of the landowner. I got an email saying please take the post down from the HOA. I don't deal with the HOA, so I went petty and didn't respond. Instead, screenshot it to the post. We will see if anything else happens. I'm really curious about how they think they'll enforce the policy, especially being that none of the parents have altered their behavior on the bus stop. Stories number 27. Wife 33. Acting like she's 23 after starting grad school. Should I be worried she's cheating? I'm 37. My wife is 33. We've been married 8 years and have 2 kids, 5 and 3. Earlier this year I fully supported her decision to go back to school and enroll in a 2-year master's program in her field. She said she wanted to restart her career after putting it on hold while raising the kids. I was honestly happy for her. But things have changed a lot since then, and I don't know if I'm being paranoid or if there are real red flags here. Most of her classmates are in their early 20s, some of them guys, straight out of undergrad. She clicked with them and started hanging out after classes, which I was fine with. Everyone needs friends and a social circle. Then she started going out to clubs with them. She comes home drunk, dressed in revealing outfits, and honestly it doesn't sit right with me. I told her, I don't think it's appropriate for a married woman with 2 small kids to be partying. Like she's 22. She said it makes her feel alive, and like she's reliving the youth she missed. She's also posting provocative photos on social media, acting like a carefree college girl. We argued about it, but I dropped it. Since school plus social life take up so much of her time, I've ended up carrying almost everything at home. Finances, work, house, kids, I told myself. It's just a busy semester. Summer break will calm things down. Over the summer, her classmates organized a trip. Some guys were going too. I told her I wasn't comfortable with her going. Yeah, I know it was a mistake to try to forbid it, but I was at my breaking point. She blew up, left for a week anyway, and basically ghosted me and the kids the whole time. When she came back, she acted like nothing happened. When I brought it up, she flipped it on me and we fought again. I let that go too. But deep down I feel something is really off. Now the new school year has started, and I'm worried it'll all be the same. I've tried talking to her calmly, but she refuses to listen and acts like she's 23 and single, not a wife and mother. I don't know if she's cheating or if this is some identity crisis, lost youth thing. Either way, I feel disrespected and alone in this marriage. How do I even bring this up again without sounding controlling? And do these sound like cheating red flags to you guys? Or am I just losing it? Stories number 28. Genetically dying out. I'm the third of 3 and none of us are dating. I'm 36, 37 sister, and 39 brother. None of us have interest in having kids. It's a weird phenomenon that we realize our line does end with us. Our parents are sad about it. Are any of you in the same position? How do it feel? Edit. Interesting reading all the comments, positive and negative. Thank you for all. I don't feel any need to continue our bloodline. Our last name dies with us. I had a fiancée for 7 years, and she wanted more children. She had 1 prior, but I wasn't prepared for it. I do believe the planet is overpopulated, and I needed to know for sure that we were a forever couple in order to have kids, but that didn't work out. The world is getting worse, and bringing a child into it when it is a matter of fact that their life would be worse than mine doesn't seem right. Especially since my multimillionaire grandma is not giving any money to the family. Stories, number 29. Inherited a house and uncle wants to buy me out, at 30% of the value, location included. Questions, need advice. I recently inherited my grandpa's house with my uncle. We each have 50% in a tiny town in Wisconsin. The house is worth around $200,000. My uncle wants to buy my half for about $30,000. So, my uncle wants to turn the house into an Airbnb and has already spent $20,000 remodeling it. I wasn't aware of this until recently. We cannot rent out the house or sell it for a few years because of stipulations in the will which I don't want to describe, in case he sees this post. My uncle wants to completely renovate the home right now to prep it for when it can be rented out. Like, completely gut it and pour $100,000 into it. I'm not in a position to do this, so he wants to buy my half of the house. He wants to pay me the value of the house from when my grandfather's will was drawn up in 2002. It was worth maybe $100,000 then, and around $200,000 now. So I would get $50,000, and then he wants to deduct functional things he upgraded like the AC, furnace, etc., plus time for the work he and a buddy did. I'm completely fine paying for things that are vitally necessary. Like the furnace went out and needed $2,000 in repairs. So maybe I'd get $30,000? Hard to say because he and his friend keep working on the house, so their salaries keep getting larger, as does the cost of upgrading things. I think this is all ridiculous. He also has made all of this a complete nightmare for me. And the rest of my family. I have 2 aunts. And while my grandfather was sick, and not in a mentally well-placed depression and anxiety, not dementia, my uncle convinced my grandfather that my aunts wouldn't take care of the house untrue, so the will was redone and they were cut from it. I have no idea why I wasn't cut too. The house holds very special memories for my aunts, cousins, and myself, and everyone is financially stable enough to keep it in running order. My uncle is an uncle via marriage. His wife, my aunt, died many years ago, and I don't know him well. My other aunts and I had wanted to use the house as a family vacation spot, celebrate holidays there like old times and possibly rent it out. Is it worth it to hire a lawyer, go to court and hopefully receive a judgment that he has to pay me the fair market value? Would I need to pay him for expenses I never approved of? Would I really need to pay him and his friends' salaries? Or should I just let it go and take what he's willing to pay me? I also feel like whatever money I get, I should split with my aunts since they were cut from the will, right? The money would mean a lot to me, but I don't feel like it's fair for them to get nothing. My uncle is pushing me to make a decision right now, but legally I can't even sell it to him for a few years. I'm exhausted. Stories number 30. My roommate keeps borrowing my groceries and now I'm basically feeding 2 people, so I, 27F, have been living with my roommate, let's call her Samantha, 26F, for about 4 months. We found each other through a Facebook housing group for our city, and at first everything seemed fine. We split rent, 50-50. Utilities are even. And honestly, I thought I'd hit the jackpot because the apartment itself is cute and close to work. But lately, I feel like I accidentally signed myself up to be head chef and pantry supplier for this girl. The beginning of the problem at first, it was little things. Samantha would grab some of my milk for cereal. Fine. Then she had one of my yogurts. Whatever roommates share sometimes, right? I didn't want to be the uptight roommate who freaks out about every little thing. But then it escalated. 2 weeks ago, I did a big grocery run. I dropped about $80 at Kroger, which for me is a week's worth of meals plus snacks. By Wednesday, half my groceries were gone. The pasta leftovers I had packed up for lunch, gone the chips I'd just opened, empty bags sitting on the counter, my fancy Ben & Jerry's that I specifically bought as a treat, eaten. When I brought it up, Samantha did the whole wide-eyed, "Oh, sorry, I thought you wouldn't mind. I'll replace it." Spoiler. She has never replaced a single thing. The breaking point. This week I came home from work, planning to make tacos with the ground beef I had literally bought the night before I opened the fridge, and it's gone. Just gone. She had already browned it up and was eating tacos with her girlfriend on the couch. When I said, that was mine," she shrugged and said, "We can share." Excuse me? Share? I didn't agree to feed 2 people on my grocery budget. The kicker? Later that night when I was starving because I had nothing left to cook, I had to order takeout for $15. Meanwhile, Samantha was licking her fingers and leaving the dirty pan in the sink. What I tried. I hate confrontation, but I also hate being treated like a 24/7 food bank. So I brought it up again. I told her I need her to stop taking my groceries. She gave me the usual, "Oh, my bad. I'll replace it." She even suggested we start doing shared groceries. But here's the thing. I've seen what she eats when left to her own devices. Frozen pizza, ramen, energy drinks. If we shared groceries, she'd absolutely be eating 70% of what I buy, and I'd be footing the bill, no thanks. So now I'm stuck debating, do I buy a mini fridge for my room, start labeling everything, or go nuclear and set up locks like it's some kind of college dorm horror story? First update. Confrontation. Attempt okay, so I talked to her again. I sat her down and said, "Listen, I need you to stop eating my food. If you want something, ask. And if you finish something, replace it." She laughed. She said I was being dramatic, and that roommates always share. I reminded her that she has never once bought a single replacement item. She rolled her eyes and said, "You make more money than me, it's not that big a deal." That comment made me see red. Yes, I make more than her, but that doesn't mean I want to bankroll her groceries. Second update. The lockdown. I bought a mini fridge. Yep, a literal mini fridge for my bedroom. I felt ridiculous wheeling it into my room, but the second I stocked it with my groceries and shut the door, I felt peace. Of course, Samantha immediately noticed. She gave me attitude, saying, "Wow, that's so childish. You're really going to lock yourself in your room with food like a gremlin?" Yes, I am. She then started making these passive-aggressive comments about how she guesses she has to starve now. And, wow, it must be nice to be selfish. Meanwhile, her girlfriend has been over almost every night eating my snacks that I already told her not to touch. Third update. The fallout last night was the breaking point. I came home from work, and Samantha had the audacity to knock on my bedroom door and ask if I had extra eggs, because she didn't feel like going to the store. I told her no. She called me a bitch, so I told her point blank. She's not entitled to my food. I'm not her mom. If she wants to eat, she needs to buy her own groceries. She stormed off and slammed the door. This morning I got a text from her saying she doesn't think our living situation is working out, and that she's planning to move out when our lease is up in 2 months. Honestly, relief. Final update. Peace at last. Samantha officially moved out last weekend. The apartment feels like heaven now. No more missing leftovers. No more half-empty chip bags. No more resentment. Every time I open the fridge, I got a new roommate through a co-worker. Her name's Erica, and she's honestly the opposite of Samantha. She buys her own groceries, cleans up after herself, and even labeled our shelves in the fridge, so there's no confusion. She also bakes cookies sometimes and leaves me a plate. It's amazing how much your quality of life changes when you're not constantly being taken advantage of. Moral of the story? Don't ignore the red flags. If your roommate starts stealing just a little, shut it down immediately. Because next thing you know, you're buying $80 worth of groceries and surviving off takeout while they eat Ben & Jerry's on the couch. Stories number 31. My fiancé told me, "This is it, take it or leave it." So I gave him the ring back and told him to get out of my house. I did 28F, thought I was building a future with my fiancé Tom, 37M. We've been together for 2 years, living together for 6 months, and engaged for 1 month. I thought he was my person. But now I feel like I'm watching everything unravel right in front of me, and I don't know if I pulled the trigger too fast, or not fast enough. Background: 3 years ago, my life changed when I inherited a large fortune from my late grandfather. I don't flaunt it. I don't drive a Lambo or live in a mansion. I bought a modest 3-bedroom house in Ohio, kept working part-time as a teacher because I love it, and started planning a nonprofit that means a lot to me. My investments generate around $40K a month, but I live well below my means. Only my dad, Mark, and my sister Emily know the full numbers. When Tom moved into my house 6 months ago, I kept things simple. I paid the mortgage and utilities, since I'd been doing it already, and he picked up groceries. I thought it was fair. He never complained. He makes about $10K a month as a contractor, has around $100K saved, and until very recently, I never felt like money was a problem between us. Where it started going wrong: Tom wants us to eventually buy a bigger house together. That wasn't a shock. He's older, and I figured he'd want to upgrade. The sticking point? He wants his dad, Carl, to move in with us someday. I adore Carl. He's kind and funny, but I have zero interest in living with in-laws. I suggested a separate unit or a nearby condo down the road. Tom pushed back, but agreed it was something we'd figure out later. That's when finances came up. He started asking more questions, and eventually I opened up about the actual size of my inheritance. I'll admit, at first I had downplayed it when we started dating. Said I had some savings and a small inheritance. I wasn't ready to hand someone I'd known a few months my entire financial picture, but I figured now, engaged, living together, it was time to put it all out. Tom's reaction wasn't what I expected. He went quiet at first, then said, "If you have that much, why don't you just buy us a house? We'd own it 50-50, and that way it would feel like our home." I told him I wasn't comfortable with that. If I bought a house with my money, it would stay mine. If we bought together, we'd each own the portion we contributed. That seemed fair to me, but Tom disagreed. He said being equal partners meant putting both our names on the deed, even if I paid the full amount. He argued that a prenup would protect me anyway. We went in circles for days. The ultimatum. Then, 2 nights ago, Tom hit me with it. Final offer. You buy the house, we each own 50%. I'll sign the prenup. Take it or leave it. I stared at him and asked, so if I say no, we're done. He hesitated, then said, yes, so I left it. I took off the engagement ring, handed it back, and told him to get out of my house. He immediately backtracked, saying he didn't really want to break up. He just wanted me to agree. He accused me of throwing away our relationship over money. I told him no. He threw it away when he tried to corner me into an ultimatum right now. He's in the guest room. I told him he needs to move out tomorrow. But I feel sick. I love him. I thought I'd found my future husband. And now I don't know if I saved myself from a lifetime of financial manipulation, or if I just sabotaged my relationship because I was too protective. First update. The morning after. I didn't sleep. I locked myself in my bedroom while Tom stayed in the guest room. In the morning, he tried to smooth things over by making breakfast. He asked if we could talk. His explanation. He felt hurt that I lied about my inheritance early on. He felt like me having more money gave me all the power in the relationship. He worried I could use money as a way to control him. He wanted me to prove I valued him more than money. He swore up and down he wasn't after my money. He said he just wanted to feel like an equal. He admitted the ultimatum was manipulative and wrong, but he said he was frustrated and scared of being left behind. I listened. I apologized for not being upfront sooner. But I also told him plainly, the way he handled it makes me question everything. If he could weaponize an ultimatum now, what would he do when bigger things come up? I laid down conditions if we were to even consider moving forward. A rock-solid prenup. Any house we buy, ownership reflects actual contribution. A proportional budget for shared expenses. Joint account plus separate accounts. No living with in-laws, guest house, or nearby condo, fine. Couples counseling. He agreed to all of it. Then he packed a bag and said he'd stay in a hotel for a few days to give me space. I should feel better. But all I feel is hollow. Second update. The family gets involved. Word got out. Faster than I expected. My sister Emily called me after Tom apparently vented to his dad, and Carl called my dad. Now my whole family is in it. Emily thinks I dodged a bullet. She said Tom's behavior was a flashing neon sign of entitlement. Carl, his dad, called me crying. He said Tom has always felt less than in relationships, and that I should give him another chance because he's just insecure. My dad was blunt. If a man gives you an ultimatum once, he'll do it again. Now I feel stuck between compassion for Tom's insecurity and the reality that insecurity can turn into control. Really fast. Final update. The decision. It's been 2 weeks. Tom stayed in a hotel at first, then asked if he could come back to work things out. I told him no. We did 1 counseling session together, and it was awful. The therapist asked Tom to explain why he thought it was fair for me to put down millions and him to get half ownership. His answer, because marriage means sharing everything. The therapist asked me how that made me feel. I said, like he wants my money more than me. Tom got defensive, said I was twisting his words. He stormed out halfway through. That was it for me. I texted him later that night and said it's over. He came to the house the next day, packed his stuff, and left. Since then, I've felt a mix of grief and relief. Grief. Because I loved him. Relief. Because I know deep down he was showing me exactly who he is. The ring is in my jewelry box. The prenup paperwork is in my desk, untouched. And my house? Still mine? I don't think I sabotaged my relationship. I think I saved myself.